The all 5 flag bearer aspirants of the new Patriotic Party, Kennedy Japan, Dr. Brian Achampon, Dr. Bahamunu Baumia, Dr. Yao Sedichum, and Engineer Kwabena Eje Japan, all committed to stop campaigns filled with insults, accusations, and division with 9 days to the January 31 election. This was the undertaking they signed Thursday in a peace pact, committing to peace and unity before, during, and after the elections. This comes after days of concern over fairness of the electoral process and an unequal playing field for all. James Aveji has details.
All 5 aspirants in the NPP flag bearer election assembled here at Alisa Hotel in Accra to sign the party's peace pact ahead of the January 31 election. Now, this event has been witnessed by party bigwigs, including leadership of the Council of Elders, patriots, including the former president of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The message to all of the aspirants from all of these persons have been the commitment to peace as well as respect for each other in the last days of the campaign activities towards January 31.
To get the contestants to affirm that the process has so far been transparent, inclusive, and fair. That want them to commit to accept the results and want them to commit to support whoever wins out of the 5 members of the team of things.
Let me be clear. The NPP is bigger than any individual. No ambition, grievance, or faction is greater than the elephant. Leadership contests must never weaken the collective cause. Unity is not optional. Unity is not a slogan. Unity is a strategic necessity for victory. So I charge all of you, this peace pact must not only be signed, it must be lived.
Let me start off by saying that opposition is painful and lonely. We know this. Good friends don't pick up calls. They ignore us and they find new friends. We are living it. We feel it every day. And surely, none of us wants to remain there. We want power to serve, to transform lives, and to move Ghana forward. But power does not come through division. Power comes through discipline. Power comes through unity. Power comes through sacrifice.
Head of the Election Security Task Force, the IGP, Christian Teteyuhunu, cautioned the aspirant against the deployment of internal security, or what he described as macho men, on the election day.
Please, we are cautioning that the police are more macho than the macho men you deploy. And that when it comes to the stage, that these macho men will not take advice from the caution that is given them. And they come to the police station and then we arrest them. I'm pleading, nobody should call me.
The 5 candidates then signed the document indicating their commitment to peace, staying away from a comment that could inflame passion within the rank and file of the party during the last minute of this particular campaign.
I'm going to win and I pray that I get their support. But in a very unlikely event that anybody else emerges a winner, absolutely, I will support the person.
What are your numbers looking like as we speak?
Come to the office.
Now that this document is signed, it is now the duty of the leadership of the party to ensure that this is enforced, peace and unity prevail before, during, and after this particular NPP presidential election. From Alisa Hotel here in Accra, I am James Savage for Joy News.
And trust Joy News to be all over it on that day, 31st January, where we'll bring you in-depth coverage of whatever will be happening in that particular primaries. Away from that, rice farmers along Ghana's largest irrigation project the Pong irrigation scheme are battling mounting losses as tons of harvested rice remain unpurchased. Despite government assurances and directives to deploy aggregators to absorb the surplus, farmers insist no intervention has reached them yet. On a working visit to the scheme, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, sought to calm tensions, promising the introduction of millers to process the excess paddy rice. My colleague Maxwell Akroboto has more in the following report.
Under the scorching sun of Pong, heaps of freshly harvested rice sit idle. What should be seasons of profits are instead becoming seasons of losses for farmers along Ghana's largest irrigation project, simply because there are no buyers. During a working visit to Pong irrigation scheme, the farmers explained how the situation was pushing many of them into idleness and financial distress. Charles Tete Humbe is the president of the Federation of Water Users Association.
We produce, but we can't sell. That is our major issue. The paddy we produce, we cannot sell because there is no market. The government has announced and put in place that we will be having off-takers and aggregators who off-take our rice. Currently, as we are here now, we did not see aggregators or off-takers who are taking our rice.
Addressing the concerns, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, assured the farmers that government will support the milling of their paddy rice to make it suitable for purchase by the National Buffer Stock Company.
Our farmers have invested so much in production, they have produced so much, and they are not getting the market for their produce. This is disincentive to further production. Buffer stock is not procuring paddy. They are procuring milled rice. And so we are now having some contrast with the millers. We want to empower the millers, make resources available to the millers for them to buy, do the milling, and then send to buffer stock.
Aside from the working visits, attention was drawn to the deplorable state of the roads leading to the farms. The minister, however, assured that the roads will be included in the over 1,000-kilometer schedule to be tarred under the current administration.
I'm also happy to note that as part of the project, we are also fixing some of the roads, except that the major road must also be included.
With tons of rice still sitting idle and roads that barely allow passage, farmers at Pong faces a challenging future. Government assurances may offer hope, but the real test lies in action. For Joy News, Maxwell Akroboto's report read to you.
Now, the Ghana Tourism Federation is demanding tougher environmental standards, warning that poor sanitation and plastic pollution could derail effort to grow tourism into a 24-hour economy. The call came at the inauguration of the Federation's newly elected National Executive Council, GATOF, in Accra, where stakeholders also pushed for improved service delivery across the sector. Plans to introduce a plastic pollution prevention policy and expand service training for small tourism businesses form part of GATOF's Black Star experience aimed at making Ghana's tourism sector competitive and sustainable. We'll hear from the Federation shortly, but first, the President of the National House of Chiefs, Ojiahoho Yao Jebi II, who describes the marginalization of traditional authorities as a major threat for governance and development.
The involvement of chiefs in the governance architecture of this country is very minimal, and I think we have to go back to it. Do you believe the Bible? But then we were not blessed with only gold. No. Our rich history, our vibrant culture, our diverse nature, our location even as the center of the world. Tourism has been a major source of revenue. There are countries who don't have gold, but tourism is raking in billions of dollars for them. And I see this as another wake-up call that we should take advantage of this potential to rake in so much
We can now hear from the newly appointed president of the National Federation Council, Seth Okran, who says the proposed plastic pollution prevention policy and the expansion of service training for small tourism businesses, especially shop bars, are critical to the success of Ghana's 24-hour economy.
But the evidence is everywhere we can see. If you see our beaches, if you see the waterways and all that, and health-wise, it is not even good for us. This day, you find that when you're going to buy banku, we will wrap it in their single plastic, which is health-wise, it is not good. I think that this is the time to be bold. To, as a nation, we can replace that with biodegradable product. If you go to Asitwari, you have a whole banana plantation there and many other things that can be used to generate paperback or biodegradable product that will replace the plastics, because they don't dissolve in the soil. So we are just destroying our environment. And like I said, tourism globally, everybody is talking about sustainability and whatever, and we can't compete in the globally without taking care of those plastics pollutions and these policies. Yeah.
Away from that, heads of schools and directors of education across the country have been urged to prioritize collaboration, accountability, and fair leadership as a means of improving performance outcomes in schools. Addressing education stakeholders at the Central Regional Education Directorate's Made in Education Leadership Workshop in Cape Coast, the Director of School and Community Science and Technology Studies at the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Jofos Anamwa Mensah, stressed that strong commitment and effective collaboration, particularly with parents and community stakeholders, are critical to achieving sustainable improvement in teaching and learning outcomes.
The Central Regional Education Directorate hosted its maiden regional education workshop on the theme Strengthening Leadership, Accountability and Collaboration for Improved School Performance. Speaking in an interview, the Regional Education Director, Dr. Juliet Dufi-Otame, described the workshop as a call to action.
This workshop is a wake-up call, a call for action, that if we are doing the right thing, we should continue. If we need modification, we should all come here and share ideas. And one thing is that I always see that accountability is not punishment. It is a way of coming together, owning what you have. And after that, only you have to be intentional about it. And how can you do that? You can't do that alone. Every good leader should collaborate with either his superiors or his subordinates. And that is why we are here, to encourage ourselves that we are still in the business of leadership and we need to be intentional about whatever we do and accountable.
She emphasized that lessons learned from the engagement will be applied, adding that effective monitoring will be used to ensure implementation.
Here we have the regional managers, district directors, and the heads of institution, as well as our teacher unions, coming together. Now they have to give us a roadmap, what they are going to do. So at the end of the day, each group will bring what I would say the white paper, and that is what we are going to work with. So when we come, we say, oh, we come for monitoring. This is what you submitted. This is what you are doing for your district. Are you going by it? If you have challenges, we are there to help you, to also ensure that not to punish you, not to blame you. We have passed that stage, but this time to encourage us to do the best. And so that is why we are here. And supervision, as you rightly said, is key. And that is what we want to do.
Based on his keynote address during the workshop, the Director of School and Community Science and Technology Studies at the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Jofos Anamwa Mensah, outlined practical approaches to enhancing policy implementation within the education sector.
Well, I think there's commitment from all sectors, including the government. There's commitment from the educational managers, in the districts, in the regions. There's commitment on the heads of schools themselves, and also commitment on the teachers and parents. If we're able to get their commitment and that requires gradual, interaction with them. It's not going to be a one-day thing. It's a continuous thing.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lisol Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Let's just stay in Cape Coast because the Metropolitan Chief Executive of the Metropolis, George Justice Arthur, has commended government for allocating portions of the District Assembly's Common Fund to the development of critical infrastructure projects across the country. Speaking during the commissioning of a kindergarten block and the groundbreaking ceremony for a community-based health planning and services CHIPS compound in some suburbs of Cape Coast, the MC said the project, spanning schools, markets and health facilities, are essential to accelerating development at the district level. He added that such interventions play a key role in improving livelihoods and sustaining the overall well-being of Ghanaians.
Speaking at the commissioning of a new kindergarten block at the St. Nicholas Basic School in Cape Coast, the Central Regional Early Childhood Coordinator, Alberta Aye, acknowledged the importance of the new facility and outlined plans to strengthen early childhood education in the region.
As a coordinator, KG is one of my areas that I am very keen about. And then our regional director is also very concerned about foundational learning. So when she heard about this project, she was very, very happy.
The Metropolitan Chief Executive of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, commended governments for prioritizing funds for critical infrastructure projects across the country.
We thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for this very important. And I have said that if all districts across the country, 261 districts, are burdened at least 2 chip compounds, you can imagine the employment that is going to be created for the youth of this country. You can imagine that if all the districts are burdened 6-unit classroom block, you can imagine the level of development that we are going to witness. If all the districts are going to build 24-hour economy market, you can imagine the jobs and the level of aesthetic facilities that we are going to witness in Ghana. So John Dramani Mahama is indeed a visionary leader, and we are all learning from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So Cape Coast has done a human job.
The occasion also featured the groundbreaking ceremony for the Brofuyedru Chips compound, where the Metro Health Director, Samuel Kwabno-Fosu, highlighted the facility's significance in improving access to quality health care for residents.
We are grateful to the Honorable MC and the management at the District Assembly and all stakeholders who have come together to make this dream come true. I'm happy Brofuyedru will have the optimum help that they need. In our quest to achieving universal health coverage, we think this one is one of the strategies to making sure that everybody living here has access to promotive, preventive, rehabilitative, curative and palliative care at a cost that the community can afford. So we are so glad.
Headmistress of the St. Nicholas Basic School, Penelope Akins, expressed optimism at the new facility's contribution to enrollment at the school.
It will really help us because we don't have KG at all. The only KG we have was for the church. That one too is private, so people don't normally go. So every time we have an issue with class 1 enrollment because of the KG. But now that we have our own KG, we'll be able to feed our class 1 very well. And then for the facility too will attract learners to come. It's very attractive.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lisol Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now to our first story, and the Institute of Energy Security is urging market regulator, the National Petroleum Authority, to swiftly resolve the standoff in Ghana's petroleum downstream sector to prevent disruptions in fuel supply and stabilize pump prices. Speaking to Joy Business, Senior Research and Policy Analyst at the Institute for Energy Security, Derek Emmanuel Zache, emphasized that the price floor policy is crucial for maintaining fair competition and preventing predatory pricing practices that could harm smaller OMCs and ultimately lead to higher prices.
For consumers, the regulator is the regulator. They have the authority and the power to be able to regulate the downstream. And so what needs to be done, or what poses as a risk to the consumer, is that we are talking about a huge chamber. Star Oil supplies, or let me say, it has about 10.7% of the market share. Comac as a body is now boasting around about 90% of the industry supply. And so that 10% supply that maybe Star Oil has control over, it really, that is what can maybe influence. But you know what? The regulator comes out policy that this is the rate that be able to sell for some that Star Oil has full right and it that apply what the regulator will. It is said that they will fully out of part if whatever provision or whatever that is whatever benefit that Star Oil would have joined in terms of collaboration, in terms of promotion, in terms of the good role that Comac as a unified body would have had. Star Oil now will not be able to enjoy those kind of privilege. The platform that they used to have as a consensus to be able to have a bargaining power, Star Oil will not be able to enjoy such bargaining power. If there's anything that they need to do to protect their members, Star Oil will not enjoy that. And so it is not healthy for the industry. As a Ghanaian oil marketing company that is now the leader, the industry, we expect Star Oil to not take an entrenched position, but be able to engage its chamber constructively so that they'll be able to arrive at an amicable solution. That is what will help the consumer, that is what will help their brand, and that is what will help the forward march of the country.
Now, the year-on-year producer price inflation for all goods and services was 1.9% in December 2025. Now, this was 0.6 percentage points higher than the November 2025 producer inflation rate, but 24.2% percentage point lower than the December 2024 producer inflation rate. There's more in the following report.
On a month-on-month basis, the rate between November and December 2025 was negative 0.8%. Thus, on average, producer prices for goods and services decreased by 0.8% in December compared to November 2025. According to data from the Ghana Statistical Service, mining and quarrying, the largest sector with a weight of 43.7%, recorded a 1.0 percentage point increase in producer inflation. This was from 2.3% in November 2025 to 3.3% in December 2025. On the other hand, the manufacturing sector, which makes up 35% of the producer price inflation weights, decreased from 0.5% in November 2025 to 0.1% December 2025, losing 0.4 percentage points. Also, the producer inflation in the transport and storage subsector continued to fall, declining from negative 10.2% in November 2025 to negative 3.7% in December 2025. Meanwhile, the Ghana Statistical Service has called for reduction in structural production costs by strengthening energy supply, transport infrastructure, and logistics systems.
Let's end the business update with what's happening on the commodities market. But after that, we'll bring you the AM Sports. Thanks for being with us. Good morning.
substance worth
1 point. So that's 1,032,000 Ghana cedis in registered in Nigerian registered car.
This happened in the Volta region.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, wonder whose name is typically, and everyone is rolling his eyes at me. But so the story is that, so the Chronicle says that an impeachable source tells them that when the car was stopped, he attempted to bribe the police officer this amount of money.
$20,000.
And then this hero of ours, police, rejected the bribe.
Okay.
Does it make you feel good? It's a good time to be a Ghanaian this morning, right?
And probably we should know that, okay, now we can't put that in name because we know how these people are connected.
Yes.
But that police officer needs to be celebrated.
The Chronicle says impeachable source says that he rejected the $20,000 cocaine. But what we don't know is whether or not the cocaine was from Ghana en route to Nigeria or Nigeria en route to Ghana. Yeah, that's the puzzle we must unravel. Well, yeah, that's possible. So this is a good story. It makes me happy this morning. Yeah?
So all our police friends, kudos to all of you. Let's see how many of you can keep up this. Because $20,000 is not cheap.
Out of 1 million is cheap.
Out of 1 million?
No, but $20,000 for a police officer. Dollars.
I like it.
Times 10. Oh, yeah, times 10. That's 200,000 cedis. What is Ghana is 1 million? But if 1 million cedis, and he gives you 200,000 out of it, that's a lot of money.
Why are we discussing money that didn't end up in his pocket? Okay.
We're trying to appreciate the police officer.
I wanted to quote the scripture the Chronicle is quoting this morning, but again, this one is true. I can't see it properly.
It says Proverbs 15:27. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household, but he who hates bribes will live. Wow.
So Kojo, does it confirm what I've been teaching you about the Chronicle? That they'll give you a scripture that seems to, you can just add to it to know which of the stories in front of the papers they're talking about. But the Chronicle as well is reporting dangerous fishing in a farmland. Hooks endanger humans instead of fish. And 6 remanded over 7.5 million Ghana cedis at the Braka gold robbery. That was the story that broke last year. That's the update on it. And retraction and apology, Tokono's removal is questionable. Justice Nene Amegachi. Now, this is a retraction and apology by the Chronicle over a story they published some time ago. And I will take you to the paper, the Finder. Star Oil exit Comac. ASEC calls for urgent reform. Story is on page 2, and I'm certain that this story will be on the desk this morning for discussion. As you know, that the leading private oil marketing company has exited Comac. So they say indefinite suspension. They cite 2 reasons. The fact that they're all for the removal of the price floor or floor prices. However, they're also concerned about how Comac as an entity has been dealing with their grievances, or whenever they have some sort of an understanding, whether just or unjust, they just do not feel that Comac represents their interest. And then answering questions in the media seems to put Star Oil in bad light. One of the things I like to think they're citing will be that when Comac is citing why you can reduce below or even at the price floor level, will be that you're either reducing your margins, or you are undercutting, or you are illegally procuring the product.
But I saw a member of the team that drove from here to London post on Facebook over the weekend. No, it was I think on Wednesday. What some filling stations, how much some filling stations are selling, and they're selling below the price floor. So his argument on
then
that,
it's a regulatory problem.
Exactly, that's what you're saying.
It begins and ends at the regulatory problem.
Some people are selling far below it. So
then, in that case, what's the restriction for Star Oil?
No, but Star
it means that they are following
a bigger OMC.
Absolutely.
It doesn't want to, because the argument is that if Star Oil does it, NPA will go after it. But if those smaller ones are doing it, that's fine. But I'm hurt by Star Oil leaving Comac. I hope that they can settle their issues and then Star Oil, because Star Oil is the vice chair of Comac.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so NIA adjusts prices of selection. You're discussing this you're discussing the Star Oil exits today.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
So NIA adjusts prices of selected identification services, and as well, Z Multimedia analyst Tamian Forsen and others. Poverty figures improve on paper, but cost of living crisis persists. A few analysts have been talking, not just analysts. Others also believe that, well, it's just on numbers. Some regions as well are considered as most unevenly distributed social amenities. Well, the insight Mahama wants African leaders and the Yankee empire is in irreversible decline. Cubans' response to Donald Trump's threats. You're a fan of international.
So the Yankee empire is U.S.
Yeah, British.
The Yankee empire is U.S.
Yeah. U.S. is a British. That's all.
But so I mean, when you read the Yankee empire, I didn't get it until the Cubans came in.
The Cubans came in. Me too. I needed to finish to understand it. Anyway, thank you. So, Forestry Commission Deputy CEO targeted for defending Ghana's forest. Really?
Hey.
How so? Elikem, I hope he's well. Anyway, Kojo, I'm not kidding. I can't see.
Behind the scene of medical Kalabule, alleged claims of coordinated scheme against Ghana Service Director General emerge.
Okay.
Which one else can't you?
Last one.
Why regulation matters. Dr. Amega speaks on the future of African herbal brands. Okay. And then Amega Bites, but you've confirmed the Chronicle thing. Yeah. It looks like Chronicle would always give a quote that supports the major headline.
Have a good one on the review table.
But you didn't do my job online.
Well, if I was kind enough to give me my joy online, perfect. Star Oil is leaving as a minority voice, not because it was sidelined. This is Comac boss, Mr. Gabriel Kumi. I think he granted an interview to George VFA, and then that's it. You can get in there and then read more. We did not see it coming. Comac chairman on Star Oil shock exit. More stories on my joy online. Now, this story as well has my attention. Later, Yawasu East MP's wife declares bid for by-election seat. Kojo, if you have some time, discuss it.
Okay.
If you have some time, discuss it.
I should discuss this one, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good one, Kojo.
Thank you for that one. MFR, the team there. Let me now welcome my guest. Mr. Afel Moni is former GJA president. Wanda Madilo is a member of the NDC's communications team and a development consultant. Janet Nabla is founder of People's National Party and Professor Isaac Bodi, Dean of the Accounting Department, UPSA. Gentlemen and lady, good morning.
Yes, very good morning.
This is the first time we're meeting in January. No, I'm not sure. Mr. Boni, I think this is the first time, right?
Yes, and last time we met was on Christmas Day.
Okay, so Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Janet Nabla too is the first time, so Happy New Year to you too. As a prof, I think I've met him.
We met here.
We met here?
No,
this
year.
So happy birthday. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
As for you, we've met, right?
Well, you can still say happy.
So as for us.
Still tell me Happy New Year.
Okay, Happy New Year. Yeah. Well, let's start with the multidimensional poverty dropping to 21.9%. But even as the multidimensional poverty is dropping, rice farmers, and we know that when you want to talk about multidimensional poverty, there are a lot of people that come under it. You won't take farmers out of it, some farmers, some category of farmers. Rice farmers are still complaining of glut because they say, though they've harvested a lot, people are not buying, and so the rice is still there. Let's take this report from the irrigation scheme where farmers have harvested a lot but don't have buyers. Watch this.
Under the scorching sun of Pong, heaps of freshly harvested rice sit idle. What should be seasons of profits are instead becoming seasons of losses for farmers along Ghana's largest irrigation projects, simply because there are no buyers. During a working visit to Pong irrigation scheme, the farmers explained how the situation was pushing many of them into idleness and financial distress. Charles Tetehombe is the president of the Federation of Water Users Association.
We produce, but we can't sell. That is our major issue. The paddy we produce, we cannot sell because there is no market. Government has announced and put in place that we will be having off-takers and aggregators who off-take our rice. Currently, as we are here now, we did not see aggregators or off-takers who are taking our rice.
Addressing the concerns, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, assured the farmers that government will support the milling of their paddy rice to make it suitable for purchase by the National Buffer Stock Company.
Our farmers have invested so much in production, they have produced so much, and they are not getting the market for their produce. This is disincentive to further production. Buffer stock is not procuring paddy. They are procuring milled rice. And so we are now having some contracts with the millers. We want to empower the millers, make resources available to the millers for them to buy, do the milling, and then send to buffer stock.
Aside from the working visits, attention was drawn to the deplorable state of the roads leading to the farms. The minister, however, assured that the roads will be included in the over 1,000-kilometer schedule to be tarred under the current administration.
I'm also happy to note that as part of the project, we are also fixing some of the roads, except that the major road must also be included.
With tons of rice still sitting idle and roads that barely allow passage, farmers at home faces a challenging future. Government assurances may offer hope, but the real test lies in action. For Joy News, Maxwell Aklobatus report read to you.
All right, so that is what will help us situate this discussion about the multidimensional poverty and let me start with you, Wanda Madilo, because this is probably your area. You're a development consultant.
Yeah.
How do we really tackle this, such that if we see like the new one of the papers was reporting that on paper we're seeing improvement, but in reality there seems not to be that much improvement. How do we deal with it so that the two will correspond?
Well, that assertion is not entirely true.
Okay.
You can't know everybody. You can't tell how many people have moved from either the peri-urban to urban or typical rural community to, or what other developments are happening in those areas. Because when we talk about multidimensional, we call it MPI, it involves about 4 items. One is education, health, and living standards, and then employment. These factors have moved away from what we used to call those days poverty, just a measure of poverty or a measure of how you have transitioned from one level to the other. This time around, we are looking at welfare, more of welfare, social welfare, and so education, health, and employment are the key factors within that space. And so we're not only looking at how much do you make? Oh, I make 20,000 a month. That's all. No. With your 20,000, what can it afford? Education-wise, health-wise, and then the employment that you have. So we've moved away from the technical definition of what is poverty. And then we're looking at welfare, human dignity and living, or lifestyle or living. And so this has widened more the definition. And therefore, you can't just say, oh, I make 20,000, therefore I'm rich, or therefore I'm in the middle class. You have to find out whether that 20,000, you can have 20,000 and still be poor. It means that 20,000 in where you live, you can't even afford education. And therefore, you can't call that riches or having climbed to the middle class. Now, because we have stretched this definition, and it's been more of warfare to the people, a lot has to be done. Because then you have to tackle health. Either to health was not part. You have to tackle education. Either to it was not part. Employment also has to be tackled. All these were not part of the definition earlier until the UNDP decided that we need to include this so that we have an inclusive growth and inclusive development of the human being. Therefore, all investments within education, you will be talking about its affordability, you will be talking about access, you will be talking about quality. And these 3 items will have to be met. So you can build classrooms, and yet it has no impact on education because it's not offering the quality, it's not offering the access, and it's not offering the other one I mentioned. So these are the difficulties we have. Then you go to health. Health, again, has to be accessible. It must have the quality, and then it must also be affordable. So if you are not meeting all these targets within each of the strategies, you have a problem. And so, yes, even though Ghana is making a lot of progress, because of the new definition, we now have to tackle all the other areas in order to say that you have come of age. As a matter of fact, when the MPI was introduced, a lot of countries went below what you call developing countries, because now the measure has to now do exactly with the individual, not about the, like you say, per capita income or GDP and all that.
But if we're measuring poverty, isn't it about the individual? Do we measure by the per capita?
I agree, but when you aggregate it, you're measuring the country, because I can't come to your house, I can't come to his house, I can't come. There are 31 million people. Who are you measuring? So you look at the aggregate of the country. And when you look at the aggregate, you are looking at the GDP of the country and how many people are in the country. Then you are able to tell, okay, one person is worth this amount of money, so per capita of GDP. But that is also not realistic, because some people, a few people in the country may be controlling that whole GDP. Maybe in Accra, the whole of Accra alone is the one in. So those in Volta, those in Upper East, Upper West, their living standards are very bad. But then you come to Accra, you come and measure Accra, and you say, oh, Ghana is 1,300 or 2,000 Ghana cedis per capita income, and it's not real. So now we're going beyond the books and dealing with the issues on the ground. That's why we need all our institutions to be growing quickly, especially our municipal district assemblies. We will have to be doing a lot more. Last week I was talking to somebody, I said, I don't even understand why we're struggling with electricity, water, and all those bills. I think that the district assemblies will now must start contributing to proper infrastructure, like education, like health. It should be deducted as source. When we do the calculations for them and they have to be given a certain amount of money, government must block some of those money for direct investment, because it goes to the districts, and sometimes they are clueless about what to do in the district or the municipality. And they are just spending the money on buying, stuff that are irrelevant to the growth of the individual in the place. And the reason for which we did the decentralization was to carry development from the national level to those levels. And once these things are beginning to be done and done properly, for instance, you can go to a place like maybe my hometown, you say you want to build a borehole. You have built a borehole, but that's not what the people want. So it may be a misplaced development. It may be a development, but it's misplaced. The people don't want it. They don't want to use it, and they are not using it. And we've seen a lot of that all over the place, where school blocks are built, or hospitals are built, or even jobs are created, and people don't want the job. Yesterday I forwarded a couple of employment opportunities to somebody, and he said, "Oh, I don't qualify." So you see, jobs are being thrown out, but we don't have the human capital to take them up. When the oil sector came, the development of our oil sector came, we realized that we didn't have capacity. So even capacity building is part of the MPI calculation, the multidimensional poverty calculation. And so you would need to go beyond and do the details. And that detailing is what brings up the whole country apart.
But isn't that what the statistical service should be doing for us to understand what the real, or who are the real poor people in the country?
Yeah, so they do. And in fact, this report is from the Ghana Statistical Service. They do.
Because you explained that.
We need to marry what figures that come from the Ghana Statistical Service and what comes from the Development Commission, or authority now, the Development Authority now. That has to be married. Every year or every time we do a 4-year plan, a new government comes in, you will meet the plan halfway, and then after you develop your own plan again to go. We have been advocating for a longer term development plan, like what they say, the American dream. The Americans have a dream, and what's the dream? Is because they have a plan on where they are going to, and the plan is far. So you become president, you are not subject to doing your own thing anyhow and changing some fundamentals. That has to be guaranteed. You can't do anything about this. That's where we need to get to, where our leaders are held accountable to standards that predicts them, or predates them. Otherwise, if they come in and because of political convenience and what your party people are saying or what the country is saying, you are rushing to do stuff. But those stuff are not in the overall growth agenda of the country. You know, in the past, we used to have the GPRS, the Ghana Poverty Growth and Strategy 1, Strategy 2. Then under President Mose, we have the Shared Growth Agenda. And then I don't know what we have right now. But these are the various stages which Ghana has passed through since we had the collapse of the economy in 83, 84, thereabouts. And so we need to do this more. And the problem is that we're moving at a very slow pace. The population of Ghana is growing very quick. But we are moving at a very slow pace, and so you always have a deficit.
Like in terms of development.
Yeah, in terms of development. Like we have in the housing sector today, they are saying that we're in deficit. We're in deficit because perhaps maybe government is not building. It's left in the hands of the private sector. And what is happening even in the oil sector and the GPRT you see today is because we, as a country, we need to be, the government must be placed central role in some of these issues. You can't control price if you don't play in the space. That's how it is.
We'll get there.
Yeah, and so all these have to be married into a proper development agenda for the country. I'm not talking NDC, I'm not talking NPP, I'm talking about Ghana as a country. Under President Kufuor, some years ago, we had the 50-year development plan agenda, something, 20-something.
No, agenda 2020 was Rawlings' time.
Rawlings on 2020, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. I think 20 what?
2020.
No, it was reviewed after when President Kufuor came to power. It was reviewed to agenda something, whatever it was. Okay. Led by the age-old.
It's not the agenda 2030.
Well, I don't remember exactly what it is, but all those would have to be. We need to take some of those plans, sit down again, and properly aggregate where we are going to and what we want to do. A government will come, a government will go, but the national agenda of the country must stay. That's the only way you can sustain growth. Otherwise, you go around the country, you see a lot of uncompleted projects. Those projects you see that are uncompleted is taxpayers' money. So, for instance, Sanglemi Housing was left there for how many years? 8 years throughout when the NPP was in government. Nothing was done about that. But only God knows how much was in that project. And that project was to tie in with the Dawa, free zones enclave, which was created. So the people who work in the free zones in Dawa, the industrial park in Dawa, can have accommodation very close nearby. Now, those are things we use to grow cities. We call them growth pools. You create something around which the country, the whole vicinity grows. We used to have it in education. Anywhere you watch around this country, anywhere you have a proper university in this country, in no time, the area grows. You talk about Ho, you talk about Takwa, you talk about, even in Accra here, where there are universities, you will see, even in Kumasi, you will see the development that came around K University. Even in UDS, those days, UDS, UDS, Tamale, they were far away from town. But today you go, you see that a lot of estates, hostels, individuals are building around those places because there is an economic activity there to be taken advantage of. We need to consciously do some of these things in all sectors of the economy in order to quickly, man up our numbers when it comes to the development of the individual in this country.
But let's look at the rice farmers who are complaining.
Yes.
How can we use farming as a way of dealing with poverty in this country?
Yeah, I mean, it's tried knowledge that agriculture plays about 40% role in poverty alleviation, across board. But what we have not done well as a country is that, you see, when we throw out policies, some of those policies have other branches. Like in agriculture, you can't talk about agriculture and say, grow, 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 when you are not talking about when they grow, what they must do. Because there are several branches. If I'm producing rice, rice is not only for human consumption. That's where we are failing sometimes. It can also be used to produce animal feed. It can be used to produce, say, alcohol. It can be used to produce drinks. It can be used to do starch and many other things. If you do only the cropping, which is the farming, and we don't develop all these other services, what happens is that you produce more than you can consume. Number two, we can't even be talking about export at this point because even our young children in JHS, SHS need to be fed. And so how do we get all this done? So in a bit, we need to find all these structs going on. Number two, the Farmers Association themselves have also not done good to themselves because they have only been talking about investing and how government should support them to invest and never thought about how, when this produce is made or finally produced, how this will benefit many others. And they themselves can be going to areas of production of maybe animal feed or, like I told you, the drinks and all that. That's the only way. But you cannot produce right because it has an expiry date. You can't produce, right? Sit in your room or sit in your storehouse or your silos, and you are just waiting for government to buy. Government may not buy all. Individuals will need to buy it. Industry will need to buy it. And you yourself will have to make some ventures in exploring other market opportunities for your products. Otherwise, this food glut thing can be a recurrent issue.
Let me bring in Janet Nabla here. Janet, I'm sure from where you're coming from, there are a lot of rice farmers there. His argument is that farmers should also try and look at how to move beyond just production. But in trying to deal with multidimensional poverty, mustn't government take a huge, mustn't government be concerned about helping farmers just move from production? Just so if it's about legislation to say about this percentage of rice must only be imported so that you supplement it with what is in the country.
Let me greet you and your viewers this morning. It's true that this from Ghana Statistical Service. I think that when we talk about poverty, first we were talking about money, but we've seen that poverty has gone beyond money and now it is multidimensional. And I think that is the way to go. When you look at the figures, I'm coming to where you are, but when you look at the figures, they said it was 24.9%, and now it has reduced to
21.9. 21.9.
To 21.9. So when you look at the deduction, even though not much, but you ask yourself, how did it reduce? You understand? Because when you look at these multidimensional poverty pillars, we have health, we have education, we have employment, and then we have living standard. So you look at, let's look at education. You know, this government have reduced the number of admitting children into SHS. Let me tell you, it's a school where they were admitting 1,000 students, now is 400. Do you get me? So they said that they will not educate everyone. That if you have a fail in any course, they are asking you to go back and write. So they have reduced, I would say that 50% of people, majority of people are sitting at homes without going to school because they have a problem with either maths, English, something like that. When you check through the schools, you will know. I have a particular, the intake used to be 1,000, now is 400 under the Mahama administration. So what I'm saying is that, so when you look at education, there is a reduction over there. Then you look at the number of children that failed in SHS. It's another problem. Let's go to let's leave education and go to health. When you look at health, the key mandate there is national health insurance. Do you know that national health insurance, now there's no national health insurance in the country?
How?
It's a pay as you go.
Really? That was a challenge that
there is no country, there is no hospital in Accra that is solely on national health insurance. I went to Tema General Hospital, and after everything, I came, I told Joy publish it. I'm telling you. So that we don't have national health insurance working in Ghana here without pay and listen. When you go, what happens is that consultation is free. Then they will ask you to go and do labs. You pay for labs. When they ask you to go and buy drugs, you pay for your drugs. The hospital will tell you that FBC, like a full blood count, which is supposed to check to see whether you have any infection, you pay. You pay for malaria. You pay for everything. You pay for everything.
Is this specific to your hospital or everywhere?
All hospitals, government hospitals. Ask National Health Insurance. They have asked them this question. Ask National Health. In the whole country, we don't have National Health Insurance where you will go and they will treat you freely and then you will just go home. You understand? And we all know that when this is happening, it's not like it was only happening in the NPP era. Even NDC era is happening. Then you look at the next indicator, employment. Employment, nurses and teachers are sitting at home. Nurses and teachers are sitting at home without employment. Ever since this government came, they told us they were going to bring a 3-shift system that will employ some people in the morning, others in the afternoon, and others in the evening. The youth of Ghana voted for the NDC based on this agreement. After they came, they told us that now they want to go private. So they are no longer interested in doing the 3-shift employment that they deceive Ghanaians to vote for them. They want to now go private. And they have not employed anyone. So you ask yourself, I want us to look at the Ghana Statistical Service. We are talking about living conditions or living standard. Look, a carton of meat that used to be sold at 300 Ghana cedis at the Domi market is now 420 Ghana cedis. Some are selling 480 Ghana cedis. But the cedi to dollar is now $1 to 10 cedis. Meanwhile, $1 to 17 cedis, the persons who were selling, selling meat could reduce it this level. Maggi cube that everyone is using, it used to be 27 Ghana cedis in 2024. Today, in December, Maggi cube is 40 Ghana cedis. At the Domi market, prices of goods and services are escalating. And all of a sudden, the Ghana Statistical Service can come out with a survey that says that, yesterday I even saw at some place that 2.9 and blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand that one. But then, when you look at the reduction, and then you look at the problems we are having that are not solved, you will realize that there is a problem with the Ghana Statistical Service. And you see, whenever a government is in place, some of our people try to do things to please them. You understand what I'm saying? And it is hard time that we work through these things. The Ghana Statistical Service should be questioned to come out to tell us how come the multidimensional poverty rate that we have used, it has been able to decrease our poverty level. How did it decrease? In the educational sector, they should explain to us. Health sector, especially national health insurance, we want an explanation. We want more explanation on living standard. We want explanation on all the other pillars that they have used to come up with this. Look, let's not allow researchers to do things that they want. And I think that media, pursue them. Let them give us the nitty-gritties. What they did. What did the NDC government do that helped in reducing poverty in the country? Because I've just told you about how prices are escalating and people cannot buy things in the market. So as I sit here, I'm a woman, and I know the hell some people are facing. We have this, is it WFI? WE something, the World Economic something, that came out that living conditions of Ghanaians are worse off. All of a sudden, we have Ghana Statistical Survey coming up to say that it has improved. If it has improved, they should tell us how it improved. How did this government make our living standard to improve? We want to know, because we don't come and just throw figures and statistics into this thing.
Let me help you with this one and see if that would help you. In employment and health, for example, in 2025, and I'm quoting the minister, it says, in 2025, the Mahama administration successfully concluded a recruitment process initiated by the previous government by facilitating the enrollment of 13,500 nurses and midwives into government's payroll. Says, I am pleased to announce that by end of this month, all individuals whose salary processes experience a delay will receive their first payment.
You see the shocking aspect. You've not paid people. Listen, did you all hear what he said? They have not paid them all. People who have not, November, people who have not been paid. You've heard about nurses and teachers crying that for 13 months now, for 15 months, they've not been paid. 6,000 teachers have come out to complain that they've not been paid. We have nurses coming out to cry that they've not been paid. Were these things taken into consideration? Do you understand? Yeah. It's not a matter of just employing people. You've employed and you've not given them any money. These people are poor, working, poverty-stricken people, working in the streets of Accra. So whenever I'm saying that we are not going to allow researchers to help politicians to do things like, no. Ghana Statistical Survey. We need more than this. We need figures. Tell us how our living condition improve, because I don't know. Do you know? No. They just brought the figures. So you can't come out and try to blindfold us. That is not how we are going to run this country. This country have grown. It has evolved. And we are no longer going to take those things. Ghana Statistical Survey or service. Let the media follow them. put pressure on them to bring out more meat into what they have placed, because we cannot be able to just accept figures just because you have said it, when we've seen that your 4 pillars that you brought out, those 4 pillars, problems are there. We have problems with the 4 pillars of the poverty dimensional pillars they brought out. There are problems, and I think that they should do something about it.
Prof, let me bring you in and get your own reading of this multidimensional poverty, which has dropped to 21.9, and looking at the fact that farmers are crying of their produce not being bought. What can we do to change the narrative?
Good morning, Brace. Good morning to my colleagues, your viewers as well. Very good discussions. A reduction of MPI from 24 or so to 21.9. A clear indication that fewer people are facing deprivation. That's all that it means. So those who are following us, it's just a symbol of the fact that fewer people are experiencing or facing deprivation. It means that access to health, education, living conditions, the standard of people have improved. You turn it. That's what it means. And I was happy when my good friend Wanda was giving us theoretical part of what MPI means, and my colleague also supported, that we are looking at health, education, and standard conditions of people. So for those who do not really understand this, can look at about 4 pillars and ask themselves, what have they seen? What are they experiencing in terms of health, education, and then living conditions of people. This has been the new thing that has been used, promulgated by other theorists, people who think that don't measure poverty only in terms of consumption or income or head count ratio, how many people are poor, or poverty gap, those above or below, or severity of poverty. So a new measure has been introduced, which is in academia, we are now following using the poverty indicator index. So multidimensional. Yes, this is a figure we have today. I must also indicate that I find it difficult to rubbish academic work of others, because that's where I find myself. It's the same space. So when I see a colleague who tries to come up with a publication or paper, we can only critique, but we can't criticize. So I find it difficult to do that. But let's subject the numbers into discussions. Now, you see that we have moved from 24 to 21, indication that access to health improved, nutrition or education improved. Employment as well.
And then that culminates into enhancing living standards.
Good. I have seen a trend with the recent appointment of the Ghana Statistical Service Director. Now, for some time now, we have seen good news coming from that angle, starting with inflation. I have complained several times in terms of the computation of all these figures. From inflation, from 23%, all the way today is 5.4, 5.8. Great. I'm saying that when we are recording positive things under an administration or a leader, let's give the credit to them. What is wrong? So that in the event we don't pray and hope for, it takes something happens. There will not be the same people to come and tell us that you should attribute that to a previous administration. So they have done well. Let's give credit to them. When there's a reduction of poverty in our country today, what do we do? It's not good news. Yes, a good news. But how are we achieving that? is a question that we are asking. All right. You asked a very good question that do we see this in our day-to-day activities? Is it reflecting in what we do? Health, what are we seeing? Education, what are we seeing? Conditions, standard of living conditions, are we seeing the realities? Check the momentum. It's quarter by quarter basis. From the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. It tells you of a short-term reduction, a short-term in terms of their analysis. So they do not reflect a long-term improvement in our condition.
But if it is continuous, how doesn't that reflect long-term?
If
every quarter it's dropping, then that means that 3 quarters poverty has reduced. That's long-term.
Yeah.
And not the short-term.
Did you see the second quarter figure? Was it given?
Well, I haven't looked at it. I haven't seen it.
Good. So the decline, we only told the first quarter. But I've not seen the second quarter figure.
I'll check it for you.
So the decline gives you a snapshot of trends within quarters. That's what I've seen. I want to see this reflecting in a long-term improvement in the 3 or 4 indicators that we have mentioned. Please, how do we fix this? I think that the government must focus on areas, fix the highest deprivation drivers first. In the same report, we did not see anything in terms of an even distribution across the country. In some other areas, we still have issues with poverty. So we only had a headline, a reduction from 24 to 23. We go into the various areas. We have issue on rural-urban disparities still remain. We still have disparities. So we have not yet come out of our wood yet. We still have issues. But how do we fix it? And that's the question you asked. Let's tackle those areas that we think fix the highest deprivation drivers first. Other than that, we'll still be saddled with this. What is happening in terms of our child nutrition? Have you seen that improvement in that child nutrition? It's part of health. Have you seen which improvement in terms of years of schooling? It's an issue. We've seen something on sanitation and drinking water. It is part. Are we out of flood yet? Sanitation issues? Are we out yet? I don't want us to think we are out of the challenge, because sometimes when we try to celebrate some of these, we go to sleep. That we are there yet. And I can tell you, it will take time for us to fix these issues about housing quality we have. Where are we? Education. Where are we? The school dropout. They are all part of the measurement. Please, they are all part of the measurement. How many students are left out? The dropout. Under the old administration and the new administration, we can do the computations. And access to education is not just, education is not just access to the education. Quality of education is also, it matters. So I think, as a country, when we see some of these numbers, let's go beyond the numbers and find out what is happening to us as far as these 4 parameters are concerned in measuring the way we live in the country. So, yes, we have seen a drop, but it gives us a snapshot of a short-term trend. We want this to translate into a long-term improvement in our conditions.
Okay. Mr. Boni, now, this says, presenting the findings, government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu said the proportion of people experiencing multidimensional poverty, which measures deprivation across health, education, living conditions, and employment, declined from 23.9% in first quarter of 2025 to 21.9% by the third quarter of 2025. So in the first quarter, it was 23%. By the third quarter, it had come to 21.9%. So the data also shows a notable improvement compared to 2024, when national multidimensional poverty stood at 24.9% in the fourth quarter. This confirms a steady downward trend in poverty, Dr. Idrisu noted. Says between the second and third quarters of 2025 alone, over 360,000 people were lifted out of multidimensional poverty, while about 950,000 people escaped poverty between the third quarter of 2024 and the third quarter of 2025. These are huge numbers. And that's why you hear General Nabla ask, where are the evidence? Where is the evidence? What do we see? Where do you stand that, okay, there are improvements? Are you seeing it or you are not? What is your measuring tape of how people are being lifted out of this multidimensional poverty line?
A typical headmaster's report.
Okay.
Will encapsulate the response to your question. Well done, but could do better. It's good news that about 1 million people are out of multidimensional poverty. But this does not obscure the fact that as many as 7 million people are still wallowing in poverty. And this calls for us as a nation to sharpen our focus on people who are still living in poverty. Poverty, especially in its acidic form, is so dehumanizing. It makes you inhuman. And we ought to reflect more than ever before on developments. The poverty and development are so related. And development, according to Schumacher, is not measured by skyscrapers or broad roads or asphalted roads. Development, according to Denis Goulet, addresses three main challenges: bread, dignity, and freedom. And bread contextually means kenke, fish, tozafi, fufu, bankung, and all that. So we live in a country where many as 7 million people so find it extremely difficult, hellishly difficult to eat 3 square meals a day, where the storminess of hopelessness as a result of homelessness is facing many people, especially even in the urban centers. Go around the city at night and you see people sleeping under bridges in the open, exposed to the elements of the weather. So there's a need for more. There's a need for officialdom. This is the time, and it's interesting that Ghana's Statistical Service has amplified the need to scale up targeted interventions in the area of health insurance. Health insurance, and my sister Janet made this point, health insurance is not working in many health centers. It's not working. And not to talk about what happens in the rural areas. They are cut off from accessing basic health care. So these are the areas we need to sharpen our focus on, making sure that the ordinary Ghanaian has access to health care. Sanitation. Even in Accra, we had a whole ministry for sanitation. But we never overcame the monumental challenges of insanitary conditions. The DC assemblies should more than ever before do more to ensure that people live in conditions which are habitable, conditions which will not invite diseases, sicknesses, preventable diseases, and premature death.
But when we know that farming holds a key to dealing with poverty, and we have rice farmers, for example, complain of their produce not being bought, mustn't government be intentional in even creating off-taker schemes to buy the rice from the farmers so that you can encourage some more people even to go into farming as a way of elevating them or lifting them out of the poverty line?
Again, we don't need any promptings to ask for the authorities, such as Minister of Agric, to do the needful. many people are walling in poverty, not because they were born into poverty, but because conditions have placed them in poverty. They will toil to produce rice, cassava, but getting access to the market is a huge problem. So again, the Ministry of Agric should up a game, deploy as many vehicles as possible, make sure that food which are getting rotten in rural areas are brought to the urban centers where the farmers will get value for their money. Many people are toiling in vain, and in fact, it is heart-rending, and even so killing that many people have been plunged into poverty, not as a result of slothfulness or laziness, but because people in authority do not find the need to scale up their game to ensure that we eliminate poverty to its barest minimum. And let me take the opportunity to commend your news team for this award-winning story. You know, every development activity is information-related and communication-based, and there's a need for the media to put more emphasis on development journalism. You know, if you look at the media space, so many consequential stories are finding, are being headlined. Price living issues with direct relationship to living standards and even survival. So the media in particular, do a dangerous disservice to survivalism, dangerous disservice to development, when they focus on inconsequential issues, when they focus on issues which have no relation at all to the survival of the ordinary Ghanaian. So kudos to Joy News. There's a need for the media to place more emphasis on development journalism. And not a compulsive addition to politics.
All right, I hear. Let me come to what you want to make.
I wanted to. Janet has thrown out a lot of inaccurate figures and tried to play the politics, but I think we should.
Which one?
She talked about enrollment figures at SHS. I can report to you that last year we had the highest enrollment figure since free SHS was introduced. And I can give you the figures. Even from 2021, we had 55,000 students, 555,000. I won't mention the others, so 555,000 in 2021. 2022, 447,000. 2023, you had 509,000. 2024, you have 504,000. And in 2025, we had 590,000 highest. How do you see it on live TV? Founder of a political party. And throughout information, you have no clue.
Where from the source?
You have no clue. You have no clue
It is not
about what you are saying, and you just sit on radio.
Hold on. She's asking for source. What's the source?
I'm talking about source.
How can you just come to a television station to come and just
It is on the website of the Ministry of Education. What's all this?
You see?
So you don't even have. So what source were you quoting from?
All right.
What source were you quoting from?
You see, I didn't quote from.
What source were you quoting from?
I just told you about St. Peter's. St. Peter's, they took 1,000 students. That was in 2020. That was in 2024.
It's fine.
This time they took 400.
No, it's fine.
400.
It's fine.
So what he's saying is not true.
Let's move on.
It's not fine.
Why should I be? Let's
move on.
No better.
What of it that I will try the Minister of Education? Please.
Let's move on.
Let me ask you a question. He said something. He's trying to indict on my television. Let me say something. No one should believe him.
It's a lie.
The Minister of Education came out and told Ghanaians that in 2025 he was going to pick 50,000 teachers. They were not able to do it. Why should Ghanaians believe their website? I'm saying that this is a lie, a probable lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. You pick below the district. You pick below. Minister of Education. What should Ghanaians understand? Pick the Minister of Education. They don't tell the truth.
Thank you very much.
If that is what you are quoting, they are not credible. Credible for where?
It's okay.
People who lie, they lie like Kelewele. They lie like Elewele.
The ban of your party.
No, because I know that is what your party, your NDC party is for. You hate people who challenge.
Okay. No, stop lying.
You are running a day. You are running a dictatorship. No, you are running a military. This is my government.
Thank you.
Government. Anyone who is against NDC, they go into a boardroom and think of how to eliminate you. And you are part of it.
Do you want us to go for a break? Okay, thank you.
You think I don't know?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
A lie is a lie.
No, you are lying.
Now let's do
this for this and I this.
Let's do this.
What should any Ghanaian?
Let's move on and talk
in this
about
how
the price floor of the fight on the price floor and matters arising. Now we know that there's a price floor to control how much OMCs can price their fuel. And the price floor means that you cannot price below that particular level. But others say, give us the opportunity, we can price below the price floor. Why mustn't we listen to the OMCs who say that we can go further down than keep us bonded? Let me start with you, Mr. Money. I started with Wanda on this one, but let me come to you on this. Why shouldn't the PA just do away with the price floor? But others also argue that the price floor is there to enhance or to ensure fair competition.
Ours is we move away from the regime where prices of goods were controlled, and we're no better off. We come to a marketplace where market forces determine the price of goods and services. If you look at the market forces now, the exchange rate is relatively stable. Fuel prices on the international market are also not doing badly. The factors which come into play in determining the prices of petroleum are all aligned in favor of price reduction. So Star Oil is not any playing a hero. It is facing reality. The time has come for people like institutions like Star Oil, companies Star Oil, and even individuals to square what is happening to the logic of reality. The logic of reality is that prices of goods and services must reflect the exchange rate mechanism, to reflect all the factors which come into play to determine how we should buy our goods and services. So the only Ghanaian is interested in reduced fuel prices. High fuel prices have cascading effect on goods and services and even living standards. So if now Ghanaians are enjoying reduced prices of fuel, which will translate into reduction in other areas of living, we should applaud Star Oil and not denigrate them. So some of us are in full support of Star Oil. Comac should come again. Comac should sit down. But the public party is not in the interest of Comac. So there's a need for boardroom engagement. There's a need for them to sit down. But this is not time to denigrate Star Oil for going out of.
So you think that Comac should probably look at bringing Star Oil back and not to say
exactly.
We don't really.
And Star Oil should also be feasible and not go against the.
Okay, Prof. Let me come to you. For you, do you belong to the people who say scrap the price floor, or you belong to people who say no, maintain it, let's ensure fair competition in terms of pricing?
I think Ghana should retain the fuel pricing deregulation.
Yeah, we are still in the deregulation.
Yeah, but
the deregulation, the MPA has brought a pricing floor that you cannot go below.
Yeah, and I'm saying that we should retain the fuel pricing deregulation, but urgently recalibrate its regulatory tool.
Okay.
And especially when we are to protect competition and consumer. That's all. We should try. We have a floor. We should maintain. we must urgently recalibrate our regulatory tool to have protection and competition. That's what I think must be done. But the issue is very simple. I am not into that area, and I don't want to profess that area, more knowledge. But the point is that it is a simple information we have. Ghana's petroleum, downstream petroleum sector has been trashed into public discussions just because of decision by Star Oil to suspend its membership from the COMAC.
It started from proposal that MPA should do away with price floor so they could go below.
They could. So it started from that.
Yeah.
And they advanced the argument. It started at their level, the sector level, but now it has degenerated into a full public discussion. That's why we are here today. They are putting an argument that they should do away with the floor. Floor is just to tell you below which you can't. We have a ceiling. They are not talking about ceiling.
No.
But below, don't go below that. But when we see what is happening in international markets, recently, other countries are celebrating a drop in oil prices. Check from Nigeria, check from Gambia. All the other countries across Africa and the rest are still enjoying a reduction in oil fuel prices.
We're also enjoying it.
We're enjoying it. So I saw on radio others attributing the gains to an administration. When internationally, everyone is enjoying. So we shouldn't look at this. That is the main of the argument. Can we do something? Because we think that when you have the floor, we are restricted. But we think with the drops in price over a period, we can go further than the floor. It's an argument. I don't think this must degenerate into this whole debate about withdrawal membership. Yes, if there's something that we can do to help further, why not? So I'm saying that we must retain, but urgently recalibrate our regulatory tool when we see further drops. It shouldn't be static.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Nabla, mustn't the MP rather adopt a posture of we could amend the price floor at a certain time when we see a certain drop on the international market, just so that OMCs can say that, okay, once the MP amends the price floor and comes down, we can go further down?
Okay, so before I go there, I just wanted to say that if UNESCO should come out with the figures, I would take it. Because we were all here when IMF came out to say something that NDC said it wasn't true, finally they accepted. Do you understand? So any information coming from Ministry of Education under your regime, I will not accept it. When the NPP were there, you see they overrated some figures. When you came, you were able to see it. So don't think that any information coming from NDC will be accepted by my party.
Okay.
What we are doing is following what the Bible told us. Never to just accept anything.
The new issue now.
That's a new issue. I'm just telling you that UNESCO figures, I will take it. Your figures, I will never accept it. So concerning
price floor,
these price floors, I know that businesses are set up with the main mandate to make profit. But to me, I think that the consumer is always taken for granted. I see no reason why people will come together and then form a particular group. And the group is to say that you cannot decrease prices up to this level. Our price level should be like this. When they do that, they are eroding the purchasing power of the Ghanaian. The reason why we have difficulties in our markets have to do with this, this is it COMAC or what they are doing is what is happening at the market.
Okay, but the whole thing is the regulator has set the floor. MPA has set the floor.
Why?
And COMAC is also
and
going
I'm
by
saying
it.
that MPA has not done well, good to this country by setting that type of a price floor. Why would you do that? Why will MPA do that?
They say they want to ensure fairness, competition or fair competition in the market when it comes to pricing.
What about we consumers? Are they thinking about us? I'm asking NPA, because when you go to our various markets, people have also come together and they have formed groups, a Tomato Sellers Association, and they tell you that this bucket, let's sell it for 500. Anywhere you will go is the same price. If someone tried to reduce it for you and the person is caught, they remove the person from that place. Do you understand the hell that we are passing through? So NPA shouldn't have even gone there at the first place. I think the time has come for them to be able to lower or to change their stance so that people can. Why? It's supply and demand. If I want to sell it lower than that, what is wrong with that? Okay. Ghana should accept that prices should go lower. It is only when it comes to increase that we should not agree. But when it is lowering, you can lower it as much as you want. It's your profit. And if you think you can still make profit, why not? So NPA, I don't think that what they are doing is the right thing. They should change their direction.
All right. Well, Wanda.
Grace, it will be important to address how we got here. First and foremost, in 2015, in the heat of the economic challenge we had, a lot of oil marketing companies were pricing at a point below, say, market price. And government has to give them even subsidies. Those days, they price such that they don't put a burden, just like cement before the market was opened up. It was such that when they sell, they were making losses. And so they come to an agreement with government and say, oh, we're supposed to sell at 10, but we'll sell at 8 because it's difficult for the people. And government has to refund the 2 cedis per liter or whatever to them. And that was costing the economy. It became a huge drain on government. And some were pricing it, call it recklessly, just so they can bite into the market. At the time, the IMF's recommendation was that, hey, go for deregulation. Let the market play out. But have a control on what you must not sell below. Because you remember, in the years past, we've had many... Why are you like this?
I thought they say NPA.
Why are you like this?
Go on.
And so, at the end of the day, government was losing revenue in paying subsidies to the oil marketing companies and the BDCs. Number 2, the other problem that they created was that because we're selling at a much lower price than recovery, there was a cabal that was doing what you call fuel export into neighboring countries. In fact, a few days ago, you just heard that some vessels have been arrested of fuel load going to Togo from Aflao, my beloved town. That's what happens when you price below the market price. Because then, if it's sold in Togo for 50 and it's sold in Ghana for 5, I can just buy it with all the subsidies we have gotten, rush it into Togo, make all the money and come back.
But we spoke to an industry person who said that is not a bigger problem because when they load from the terminals in Ghana, as soon as your tanker leaves, you pay the taxes on the fuel you've taken. So that shouldn't be a big problem.
No, it's not entirely the case. There are tankers who load from our tank farms who don't pay the taxes if it's meant for export.
If it's meant for export, you don't pay taxes?
Yes, you don't pay the taxes.
How so?
Yes. Because some of the countries, landlocked countries like, let's say, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, this is where they come and load from. So therefore, it's not without taxes. And that's how people...
But that's different from our fuel that we are talking about.
Yeah, but that's the one that they will smuggle. They haven't paid the tax. They've not even paid the right price, and yet they are taking it outside the country. So they make more margins. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If you paid it at 10 Ghana cedis, say you pay tax of 2 cedis on it. Now, if we're taking it outside of the country, you're not paying the 2 cedis. It would have been 8. So you bought it at 8. You're selling it out there at 15. What happens is that
so help me understand.
There's fuel smuggling.
Help me understand. The landlocked countries, is it their fuel they import through our ports, or it is our fuel that they are coming to take?
Some of them is their own fuel, stored in our tanks through the BDCs.
Yes.
Some of the others too is our fuel they are buying. But because of ECOWAS protocol, because of ECOWAS protocols, you cannot put the full taxes that we pay, like VAT, like all the...
What protocol is that? Because the reason I'm telling you is, we spoke to Duncan Amwa, was it yesterday? No, I think on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And Duncan is a player in the industry.
Yeah.
So I'll go with his argument.
Yes.
He says, no tanker leaves the loading point without you paying the taxes on the liters you've taken.
Yeah, but he's talking about the Ghana context.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
There's fuel for export.
I get it.
Export, I'm coming. The fuel for export does not attract all the charges.
But you said the export is the country that imported through us, right? For example, Burkina Faso.
No, there are two levels. One, they are importing to come and carry.
Yes, that is them. Level one.
The other one is our fuel.
Our fuel.
Okay.
That they are going to take away.
Then number two, in all this, somebody can still buy our own at a cheaper rate and take it for export when it's even not even meant for export. Just like our cocoa. Cocoa prices are such. You want to help? You want to help? So cocoa prices are also such that if we price below a certain range, people buy our own.
Smuggling. That's what that is.
It's the same thing with the fuel. People buy and they smuggle. Smuggling is a huge business. If you sit in Accra or in Koforidua and think that smuggling is not a business, it's a big business on our border shores, on our shores. Then also it's a big business on the high seas because the GMO that the tankers use and all that also come with a certain level of tax reductions. So you buy it at a certain rate, you are selling it off at a higher rate, you make a higher margin. Number two, you stifle competition. Why? Because the smaller companies that don't have like Shell or Total that have leverage all over the country and they are just small. If the margin is such that they cannot operate, in no time they collapse. Because what is it? If Gol is playing the industry and Gol can sell at 7 Ghana cedis, I am a young person, my overheads are higher. Yeah. And therefore, I can't sell at 7. You are closing me out. Jobs are going to be lost. Investments are going to be lost. And many other things. So this is a technical thing that has to regulate the industry. And number two, we are not saying that the floor price should be kept where it is. You just keep your mouth. We are not saying the floor price should be kept at where it is. It should be kept at a level that is workable. That's all there is. If there's no control in the industry, then there's no point having the industry.
So you agree that
because
at the point,
before.
So you're saying that at the point, the MPA should look at the market and adjust the price.
That's what they do. That's what they do. They do it every 2 times a month. 1st to 15th, one window. The second window is from 16th to the 30th. They do it every time. Put the price floor and then
there's no ceiling in the market
and the ceiling.
No, there's no ceiling.
There's no ceiling. It's just a price floor.
Yeah. So I'm saying that both the price floor and the ceiling were all supposed to be set.
Okay.
But it is they are more interested in the floor because that's the price at which when you sell below or whatever, you might not even be making the margins. And jobs will be lost, companies will collapse, and all that. You don't want to see some of those.
But today we understand that smaller OMCs are even pricing below the floor.
I'm saying that it is just a matter of time. You see, that I price a product today is very cheap. Okay, go ahead. Let's leave the oil industry. There are even industries in this country where they come in, price so low, after a while they vanish from the market because they made so much losses. You are just excited about your profit. You don't even know the other cost elements that are coming up. So you price, at the end of the day, you've closed down. What have you done? You've cost this country because your investment is lost, jobs are being lost, and all that, and the market is being distorted.
That could be measures.
So, which measures?
Measures. I mean, if I have an OMC, a small OMC, I can measure with Mr. Femoni.
The 10 Ghana cedis that we're debating, somebody can sell it at 1 cedi. Okay, is that all there is? Sell it at 1 cedi, the company collapse tomorrow, and that's the end. Is that
another company will come up?
So this is to protect the entirety of the industry.
But
it is not just.
But I see argument that if me, I own an OMC, and I say that I want to price my fuel, I am pricing when I know this price will take me out of business. Is that what you are? Yeah.
It happens. People price themselves out of business. Does it not happen?
It is only look, the companies that have seen that they have gone out of business are those that were high prices that people were not purchasing them. When you look at this economics, common economics will tell you that these price hikes will not help your company anywhere. And you are saying that companies like Shell and Total, they will go away. If they go away, our Ghanaian people will take over.
Nobody said they will go away, please.
You were saying what? What were you saying?
I am saying that
any company that cannot deal with price falls to help Ghanaians and want to go, they
listen, when you spoke to the COMAC chairman, what he said was that they were not pushing Star Oil out of the market.
No. That's what
Star Oil, in essence, at a meeting, Star Oil was outvoted. Their opinion, their views was not the majority view. The majority view was that let's keep the price floor.
Of course, that's how business people.
So how is that
they want to do price
increase? And it's not as if it's even government who is interfering in some of these things. This is an issue of regulation of the industry. We've come a long journey. By 2015, when we're getting into the deregulation, we had seen all the facets of how to price petroleum prices, products.
But the argument someone like Ben, Duncan Amor,
yeah, my good friend,
is that before 2024 we didn't have the price floor and the market was okay. You introduced it in 2024, and then the same market
before 2024.
Yes.
So
they said we didn't have
a price floor.
Oh, it's I mean, since it was introduced in 2024, so it's a past MPA executive. But the point is that if the market says before 2024, when we didn't have it, we were okay, so take it off.
See,
why won't you take it off?
The one who has the consumer at heart the most is the government. Do you agree with that?
Or where?
The government.
I'd rather say it's that. I'd rather say it's that.
I don't know those who brought this price floor.
But they are championing our interest.
But you help companies. How is he looking at the this of?
Talk. You are talking to me. Don't worry. Talk to me. Talk to me.
You see,
why don't you talk to me? Because
I'll let you come in.
The one interruption. I wouldn't go down.
You're speaking so much.
I'm saying that government has the people at heart. If anything at all, the trajectory we went all the way to this point, where we have to deregulate the industry, was because government was the one that was most hit. Okay? Why? Because prices were set at ridiculously low figures, such that they were rather just shipping it outside the country, and there was shortage in this country. Prior to 2015. We've had shortages in the country 2015.
No, I get it, but I'm saying that before 2024, there was no price floor.
Yes.
Have we had shortage between 2016 or 2017 to 2024? Did we have it?
Well, I don't have those details, but what I know is that when the price floor was introduced, it was to manage the industry, as it were, protect the oil marketing companies in the industry, including Star Oil.
Okay.
Why have Star Oil suddenly woken up to this?
Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Yes. Yeah.
This debate, I don't know where we are ending. Yes, it's good. Good is giving us a history of where this whole thing started. But go back to 2015. History will tell you we had deregulation.
That's when it started.
Good. Taking away subsidies, taking away. Improving. Reliability of the supply over that period. Now, there's a flaw. You cannot go below that. That is understandable. But when we are recording huge gains in the markets, have we taken time to listen to the argument of Star Oil? They think that it says all the other countries across Africa are also enjoying a reduction. Exchange rate, Ghana, are you not enjoying? We are. International markets having a major impact on the product. So what is wrong? To listen to them and see if there are reasonable argument in their submission. Why can't we go by and look at it again?
That's the way.
Price is today at the 4 pump is how much? I think, I don't know. Per liter.
Well, it's 9 cedis.
9 cedis.
99 pesos. And
if it draws further to 5 cedis or 3 cedis, what is wrong? So I'm saying that, yes.
Any benefits?
Yes, I'm saying that. We can retain or maintain the price floor, but then we can urgently recalibrate.
They do. That's what I'm saying.
To suit. So what is wrong?
They do it.
So they should do this one.
A month.
What is wrong even to listen
what
to
he say? No, what the OEMs, Star Oil is saying that remove it completely. It's not.
So his argument is that.
But naturally,
what if price floor?
Naturally,
so that we can do our own thing.
Yeah. Naturally, when it's dropping further,
yes.
What do you do? But still maintain.
No, but you're making a mistake. All these price drops you have seen in the recent past is the same price floor. It is the same lowering of the floor that brought the prices down.
Other countries are
I'm saying that this was reported 2 times.
They are being cheated by government, by government, and then
what is happening is the OMCs that do their own thing.
Which we know. It's announced by the MPA. No, it's the MPA. Yes. MPA
how would the MPA announce the price?
MPA announces. Hold on. MPA announces
the floor.
The floor.
Okay.
And then you can add your margins. So actually, as a matter of fact, even the floor right now is below the 9.97 that gold is selling right now. The current floor is below because it's after they've set the floor, then you add your margins.
But have you taken?
But you can't go
to what Star Oil?
But that's what I'm saying.
No.
Star Oil is saying that remove the price floor completely so that we can price below or go any further.
Yes.
The OFC,
and they even say they want to do that to help the 24
Any government.
Now the Comac is saying that. Comac is saying that. Don't do that. When we went for our meeting, their opinion or view was outvoted. Everybody believes that keep the floor price, let's add our margins, and then we can announce. So the current floor price is below the 9.97. It is the margins that determine what price you price that. That is why they don't have the ceiling, but they have the floor.
Nobody.
So see, at the end of the day, the interest of the Ghanaians should be supreme.
Yes,
exactly. And that is not what government is supporting the business people. They regulate.
Stop this your roadside politics.
Oh no.
Roadside. They want to do roadside politics. Come here to come and
any of this discussion.
Hold on.
Government.
Don't tell us.
No. Don't worry about it. He's arrogant. You see, this is arrogant. He's arrogance of sitting here and making noise. You are making noise. Ghanaians think you are making noise because you are not making any sense in your presentation. Let me tell you something. Government is. I have no sense. I have no sense. You see what you are saying?
I'll return to the table.
So what are you going to do to these drivers?
We're sending them to the Odoko police and for the Odoko police to carry on with what they're supposed to do.
But there are some people who are questioning the work that you are doing and saying that it's illegal and all of that. Does that mean you are not going to back down anytime soon?
No. We are not going to back down. It is not illegal. Everybody knows GPRT is in order. They are doing their work. And this is the time that we have to also come out. We have the GPRT union guys. This is the time we also have to come out for them to see that it is not GPRTU who is trying to do that.
You're going to continue from here?
Yeah.
You go to other places?
Tonight we are moving to another area, but we will not disclose it.
Yesterday, about 15 drivers were arrested. Are they in detention or have you discharged them?
We learned they have taken their particulars and they asked them to report today.
For the drivers who have been arrested by the task force, they say that because of high cost of spare parts and the exorbitant sales that the car owners take from them, that is why they've also adopted strategies like the short in order to make more money.
The daily sales targets imposed on us by vehicle owners are simply too high. Some as much as 600 cedis. Even though fuel prices have gone down, the cost of spare parts remains very high.
Spare part,
with these excessive sales targets, we hardly make any real profits as drivers.
525 to 600. Wow. Yeah, 364 no, a BG 250 cedis every day.
Because we are police budget 20, 10. Mr. Koba, or the same sinker, which means 100 cedis.
We pay for tickets every day and still face constant police extortion. By the end of the day, how much are we really left with?
For the GPRTU, this particular operation is going to continue relentlessly to ensure that the arrest drivers who are indisciplined on the road in order to ameliorate the plight of commuters. For Joy News, Fatao Bayaga, Odoko.
All right, so that's the issue between GPRT and some drivers who are charging unapproved fares. Okay. I still have to start with you.
No, I don't have it.
But I hope that is how we keep it very cool. So this is the GPRT arresting some drivers for charging unapproved fares. We spoke to some people and somehow the view that there's no law that mandates them to be arresting people. But
Article 19 is clear on some of these issues. The GPRC does not have such mandates. But you see, in this country, when you do the wrong thing over and over and nobody complains, nobody stops you, it gets to stay. They've been doing this many years now. In fact, we've seen a lot of GPRC, even our MMDAs, the district chief executive, district assemblies also have their own assembly guards. Even at the airport, you have these Lejukuku guards and all that who clamp cars and misbehave and all that. And so I think that it is wrong. It cannot be. There's no law that backs the GPRC as a law enforcement agency. At best, they can be a citizen arrest, but that does not.
That's what they're doing.
No, that doesn't even fall within this category. Charging fares is not a criminal offense. Whether I'm charging, even if from here to Aflawa and I charge you 10,000, you agreed. There's no law that bans me from doing that. It's an agreement, it's a contract, and so there's nothing to stop me. It's not a crime.
What if that is disturbing the public peace? Can't I arrest
How
you?
does that disturb public peace? I reach an agreement with you. I want to carry it to Aflawo. Pay me 100,000. You agree to pay me, and we've got in there and say you can't pay me. No. At best, we'll have to go to court, and it will be a civil matter. The judge will determine whether indeed there was an agreement to pay 100,000. If there was, the judge can't do anything. Except you are pleading for the conscience of the judge, and you will say that, well, I mean, best whatever, reasonable man's view, and therefore we can reduce it to so and so. But indeed, it is not the way to go. So the GPRC doesn't have that. I'm glad it's not government doing any of this. It is GPRTU, and therefore they should be called to order as quickly as possible. Number two, the police must help in this regard. When reports are made in this, they should be able to mediate. Police law enforcement is not only about holding the cane or holding the handcuffs and all that. It's sometimes even engagement, of the people also ensures law enforcement, and that's what we should be aiming at. So the GPRC does not have that mandate. Okay. They must not arrogate that to themselves.
Mr. Wani.
The point is worth articulating that every cloud has a silver lining. So the fracas between GPRTU and its members and the spectacle of long queues at petrol stations, bus stops, in the morning, in the evening, will push us as a nation to address the issue of lack of means of transport from the root and not the branch. And the route approach is bringing more buses, flooding the roads with affordable means of transport to ease the congestion, to ease the long queues. And this would translate into higher productivity and national development. And we are happy that the Minister of Transport is making arrangement to bring in, I think, 350 from the start, from Egypt buses, Isuzu buses. But more of such approach should be intensified. We need to flood our roads with buses. People should. This is the best way to get out of this ugly spectacle, where GPRTU guards will be chasing transport drivers and all that. And as my brother articulated, there's no law which binds them from charging fares, charging fixed fares. So let's go beyond this. We need action, and the action should reflect in tangible presence of buses, affordable means of transport, efficient. Development is not only measured in skyscrapers and broad streets. Development should translate into efficient means of transport. And this is what we need more than ever before. Before Christmas, even in the height of the Christmas fever, we never saw what's happening now. But how come all of a sudden means of transport are in short supply and the other Ghanaians is suffering? How early do they get to work? Even children. In fact, it's heart-rending to see children in queues. When did they go to school? And the stress levels are rising as a result of lack of means of transport. So means of transport and the government, this calls for massive and the quickest intervention on the part of government to settle this issue of lack of transport.
Okay.
Yeah, once and for all.
All right. Madam Nabla, let me come to Madam Nabla before I come to you.
Oh, I support what my brother just said. This issue is more of government. When you go to countries like the Western world, what they do is that government is in charge of transportation because they use it to be able to look at inflation figures so that the ordinary people will not be able to suffer.
But in a country like ours, when we've seen Metro Bus, we've seen the bus transit, how they've been managed, are we sure government can really do it as they do it in other countries?
You see, we were just talking about fuel prices. Government have reduced fuel and people are enjoying. But I can tell you that 20% of Ghanaians are enjoying the fuel. The 80% of Ghanaians who have no cars and are using private transportation.
Public transport.
Public transportation, these people are suffering. And as a government, you should be worried about that because you did not come to for the bourgeoisies, you came for all. So if a particular group of people have cars and they are enjoying, and the ordinary people, especially they are those who voted for you, are suffering, the government should be concerned. I've seen that government, maybe communicators have taken an entrenched position about what the GPRTU people are doing. They should have been supporting them because they are frustrated. They don't know what to do. People are on them, and your members have done this, they have done this, and they too, they don't like it. Just imagine you are coming from Domi to Accra here, and then the person tells you that I'm going to Achimota. Then you pick the car to Achimota. When he gets to Achimota, he says that circle, circle. Then you pick again to circle. Then he will say Accra, Accra. So only from Domi to Accra, you pay three times. So I think that we should have a sympathetic government that should realize that this is a situation. This situation is not about GPRTU. It is on your head. Your people cannot get transportation to go to work. Children can't get transportation to go to schools. You should not be sleeping. Whatever you should do to make sure that the transportation situation is solved, you should. And if GPRTU is trying to remedy the situation, don't stand at the other side and be throwing laws. Because if you, the government, know law, you will know that when your people are being frustrated in this manner, you are dehumanizing them. And it is against even their fundamental human rights that people come and stand in the sun for hours without transportation when you should be the main the main person to be providing transportation for them. So what I will say is that I've heard him talk about GPRTU, this government trying to bring buses into the system. And you are also asking me about the maintenance. The maintenance will throw it back to both the NPP and the NDC. When the NDC came, we had 4 buses. They destroyed everything and went in for these Ayalulu buses. And they came and destroyed the Ayalulu buses and left, and now we have nothing. We need to import more. So when we talk about incompetence, people who are not supposed to be in politics, because politics, if you're not a business person, don't go into a decent. It is like managing your own company. So when you say that this is government and I don't care, and you come in, the main thing you are looking for is how to make money. You are not thinking about the welfare of the people. It's a problem. And that is what these 2 political parties have always done. They have their agenda, and the agenda is to be able to make money. Looking at the interests of the people, it's not part of their problem. So what I would say is that the people that they usually pick to manage these companies are usually their party members. And instead of picking professionals to do the work, I would say that the next time we bring something of that nature, no politician, if you have known to be in the NDC, you are not supposed to go nearer to that place. Let's look for people who are managing the VIPs and other places to come and take over. So that when they have a problem, you would deal with them without a sympathy. Because this one is business and nothing else.
Okay, I get it. Thank you very much. Let's now conclude with the NPP speech packed out.
He has not spoken.
He hasn't spoken. Okay.
He hasn't spoken.
I don't know why, Koji. I think I'm going to fight again. You think I'm going to fight again?
Okay, briefly.
I mean, when we talk about price floor is what we are talking about now. You know, Kojo, is a very simple discussion. I don't know whether the director of Ghana Statistical Service factored in this transport business issue. the hustle and bustle of commuters. If you stay in Kaswa, and you're coming to Accra, then you understand the living conditions. And when you are sitting there, you are calculating the MPI, you then will know the numbers that must be factored into this.
And this is a recent development.
You see? From, I think, first, it's a system overhaul for me. We are only scratching the surface. We are not tackling the major issue. We are not saying it started from this administration. Over years ago, the indiscipline on our roads. Look, walk from Kaswa to Accra. The traffic lights are the business centers of other people. When I'm supposed to have access to the road, I'm driving.
Do you live in Kaswa?
You see all the other, you're asking whether I live in Kaswa. The point is that, watch those who are selling on the road. If I knock someone down on the street, will I be arrested?
Yeah.
I'll be arrested.
True. Yeah.
What about the person who is occupying my space, selling on the road?
Duty of care.
What happened? So I'm sure it's a system overhaul. I don't know when this GPRT started having police powers, arresting people. I don't know. See what happened to Ayalolo bus when it was introduced. What happened to Kufuor buses when they were introduced? The same GRP people, what happened to them? I'm sure my group was distracted.
No, I didn't distract.
What happened? The same drivers blocked the roads of these buses. They never allowed them to move. Remember, they had to call police for support. But today, it's never too late. Look at what their colleagues are doing to them. Charging substandard prices. If you are traveling from Kaswa to Accra, from Kaswa to Malam, you will be given a different quotation. Then from there to Accra, different quotation. That's every time. So I think something must be done. It's a system that must be overhauled. Because if you scratch the surface, the problem will still be there. But the other thing is that when you have weak public enforcement, the weak powers will fill in. And that's what we are saying now. What's happening to the Ghana police? Regulators. Now we have been told the minister now steps in. Why did he wait that time to today? My fear is that if you are not careful, you encounter a stubborn driver. He will pull gun. You are going to have huge problem tackling this. Okay. So I'm sure the enforcement must be done, but the issue is that we must not allow the GPR to be arresting people. It has a legal implication. So then what happens if something happens?
Okay, all right. Let's go back to the NPP flag bearer race and the candidate signing peace pact. It happened yesterday. I want us to bring you that report from our reporter, James Aveji, on this whole peace pact that happened at Elisa Hotel yesterday. And then when we come in studio, we'll get my panel members to discuss this. Let's take that report.
No ambition, grievance, or faction is greater than the elephant. Leadership contests must never weaken the collective cause. Unity is not optional. Unity is not a slogan. Unity is a strategic necessity for victory. So I charge all of you, this peace pact must not only be signed, it must be lived.
Let me start off by saying that opposition is painful and lonely. We know this. Good friends don't pick up calls. They ignore us and they find new friends. We are living it. We feel it every day. And surely, none of us wants to remain there. We want power to serve, to transform lives and to move Ghana forward. But power does not come through division. Power comes through discipline. Power comes through unity. Power comes through sacrifice.
Is a report on the peace pact signed by the flag aspirant of the NPP. Let me start with you. Okay, let me now come to you, Prof. Wadi. Does this put to bed all the chaos that we've seen in the NPP ahead of this presidential primaries?
Well, ahead of what is expected to be a competitive context, the signing of the pact yesterday by the aspirant signifies moments in the history of the NPP party. In fact, I was looking at those who signed the pact. You know, in value terms, it represents restraint, and it also represents maturity in those contexts. If you watch the signing, the period where other countries' internal issues or political issues have degenerated into major instability in countries. Ghana, we are lucky to have those political parties that their internal issues often do not affect the national related issues. So, yes, it was a good sign. Again, it also helps the floating voters as well who watched. The Ghana, we have not come of age. I mean, we are still crawling. We are still making progress in our democracy. Yes, it cements what we have witnessed over the period. So, I mean, by and large, they have done well. But let's also not forget that peace, the sign of peace is not an end itself, not an end in itself. Just a framework. You know, it's a framework that we want to ensure peace. If you look at what other jurisdictions they have gone through, I'm sure it's not just telling members, let's sign and they will sign. No. It also involves further work. So peace is not only declared. We don't declare peace, but we must demonstrate peace. I watched the faces of those who signed yesterday, and I'm convinced that beyond what will happen on 31st, there will be peace in the party. What I watched, what I saw yesterday, but there's a question I want to find. I mean,
but is it the first time they've signed the party? I'm sure they signed it the last time, right?
They signed,
and someone broke out.
It's not the first time,
and someone still broke out.
So I'm saying that peace must not only be declared, the signing, it must be demonstrated. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just signing, beyond signing, during voting process and afterwards. My issue here is that after signing, the photo opportunities that they had, they should refrain from tribal issue, playing that court in their statement pronouncement. How many days left? About 7 days or so to the event. They must watch and be careful about what they say. Their pronouncement, their actions, the tribal cards some of them may want to play should be watched. On religious fronts, these are my concerns, that they should not play those cards. It won't help the party. They must stick together, come together, because just one off. After this, the major campaign or what they want to do is after these primaries. So they should not be at each other's throat, but they must ensure that there is peace. But I wanted to find out, at what point do they give them the pact to sign? Is it when they are sitting down or they are giving to them with a...
I was told on radio yesterday that it was sent to them on Sunday.
On Sunday?
Yeah.
So it presumes that...
They had studied it.
They had studied...
That was what I was told.
And then on that day was just for them to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure some people should not have issues in terms of whether I was signed or not signed and all that, because the impression will not be good out there to the public. So if the document has been given to you, but it doesn't also preclude people from mistakes if there are issues. They can still challenge. But when the camera is set on them and they are facing the public, their conduct must also be observed. It's important.
Okay, all right. Wonder.
Well, we all know that the NPP is under life support. They will need this. In 2023, they signed the peace part. But what is strange is that in 2007, when they had the 2017 aspirants, they didn't need to sign this. That should tell you that politics has evolved. And the complexities of campaigning, winning an election internally, sometimes it gets more rigorous than when you are even going out there at the national level. So we do understand the challenge they have. What I want them to do is go beyond this. I think that they needed to have done maybe a regional tour, sensitization of the members, because it's not even the people who signed the peace part that fight. There will be some person out there who has no relationship with any of this, but a supporter of one, who decides to misbehave on the day of election. So I believe that we should be going beyond the meetings, the conferences, to sign some of these things and engaging the base of the party. It will inure to a better benefit for the entire country, because when the MP people are peaceful, NDC people are peaceful, and the smaller parties are also peaceful, then we have a peaceful elections. And that's why I always have problem with Peace Council. When they wait until elections, then you see a lot of jingles on our radio, TV, talking about peace, 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 peace. It's not lasting. We need to build the consciousness of peace in our younger generation, even from those who are becoming first-time voters, in our, quote unquote, the Zongos, in environments that are, what do you call it, violence prone when it comes to elections. And the disbandment of these militia groups, what do we call it those times? Militia groups, vigilante groups and all those things. We need to encourage the banning of some of those things internally, because even though we ban it nationally, they won't be used in election. You see pockets of that following flag bearer aspirants, following even the national or regional executive aspirants and all that. And these people, all they do around you is that they are ready for battle. And what battle is it? Is to beat somebody when the person misbehaves and all that. Politics is a contest of ideas. It's a contest of superiority of views and opinions. And therefore, we should encourage our people to go along some of these lines. Both the NDC, the NPP, the smaller parties all need this sensitization. So that we don't always wait for elections and then we start firefighting and calling Peace Council, calling independent bodies to come and talk to us and all that. I think it's too cosmetic. We need to grow as a country. It's been almost 40 years since we turned democracy, Abi. 40 or 30
democracy
something years.
30 plus.
30 something years. We need to grow. We need to mature. We shouldn't make our democracy look so fragile that the contest of two people will collapse the whole system. When Obama came to this country, one of the things he said is that we should strengthen institutions rather than individuals, rather than people. And so when the institutions are working and working very well, I think we can have peace across board in the whole country, not just in the NPP. So they shouldn't finish this after signing this big part and will not bring the same peace to the national elections. We need that on both fronts, both internally and then externally when the elections are due. So indeed, it's a good one. We can only commend them for such an initiative. We pray that they live up to it. No showdown on the day, no ballots national day, no results.
No showdown.
No results compromise. No campaign against minority groups as we are seeing on the day and all that. I think that it will hold good for Ghana.
Okay. Now the Fourth Republic is 34 years this year.
So we are inching very close to 40.
With that money.
Political parties are the building blocks of democracy, and the NPP being the largest second largest party in Ghana, constitute a vital cog of our democratic machinery. If it succeeds, our democracy will be, will be enhanced. If it fails, our democracy will suffer. We are inclined to believe that what we witnessed yesterday was not a mere act of political symbolism, but a demonstration of honest, genuine, and ironclad commitment to unite in preparation for the delegates conference next week and the 2028 general elections. More than ever before, NPP needs that oxygen of unity to stay together, to campaign together, and to bolster their chances of winning the 2028 elections. Two choices face NPP now: demonstrable unity or fatal fracture. The second one comes with calamitous consequences, and NPP can never afford to break into pieces now. So there's a local balance, local proverb which says you should advise the cat and the stinking fish in equal measure. Contextually, whilst we urge the leadership of NPP, the aspirant, flag bearer aspirant, to refrain from incendiary rhetoric, acerbic comments, and acidic statements, the media should not also fan the flames of disunity in the party. Every party has its challenges. A party is a human institution, and like all human institutions, perfection is an impossible goal. So NPP has its imperfections, and this has imperfections. But the media should not feed fat on such imperfections.
Okay.
As we speak, so many opinion polls are being bandied about with no substratum of credibility. And the credibility has two main elements: believability and expertise. How many people believe the opinion polls which are finding space in the media?
Yeah.
Some of them were just concocted. And they are being put there to do the service, to do the bidding of some political aspirant. So this is a time for the media to be as professional as expected and give all the support to the NPP to ensure that they succeed at the delegate conference. And whoever will emerge as a flag bearer should also enjoy the support of the competitors. Otherwise, they may fight a losing battle in 2028.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Madam Nabla.
We wish them the best of luck.
Okay.
In their election. It's not easy fighting internal contest. It's more difficult than even the major one, because this is the time that you will find more people that were closer to you now snitching on you. So many things are happening, and tempests are up there. I've seen that someone told me yesterday, one radio station called me and was telling me that, do I think what they are doing is democratic? And I said, yes. In internal politics, all those things, they happen, especially when it's getting up to the election period. The tempest will go to a certain point, it will start to come down by force because of the way everyone is struggling to be able to win. So we wish them the best of luck. Politics is not a place whereby you go to fight. It is a place of ideas. So if you have the ideas, tell the delegates. Whenever I contest, I tell them I'm not here to infringe my right on you to vote for me no matter what vote. No. If you think I will be capable to do the work, give me your mandate, because I'm promising you that I can do it. And if you also think that you can, I can do it, give me your mandate. You see, so it's not a do and die affair. So no matter what, they should go in there and try to have a great, is it what?
Primaries.
Primaries, and then come back. But the PMP 2028 is a year for the PMP. Ghanaians have tested the NPP. They've seen.
Did we hear that 2028 is?
2028 is the time for the PMP because they've tested of course they've tested the NPP. They've seen who they were. The NDC came with ties and they have voted for them.
Confidence.
And then no, I'm not. Listen, when you look at the number of people that did not vote in the elections, they were more than both President Mahama and they were more than their votes were more than President Mahama's votes. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then even the NPP, about 8 million people did not vote because they don't have confidence in both the two political parties. And these are the people that are going to stand behind the PMP for us to push these two political parties to where they belong so that Ghana can grow.
Madam Nabla, I'm great.
One day is exciting.
Janet Nabla is founder of People's National Party. Professor Bodi is the Dean of the Finance and Accounting Department. Prof, you want to say something?
I think we have a program coming up.
Support?
Yeah, you have a program coming up when?
On the 27th, Tuesday, next week Tuesday.
Okay.
Before the primary.
Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy.
Okay.
We have a press conference coming up on the Rock Bauer Rock and
Bauer Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, and gold body
issue.
Okay.
We have extensive academic discussions.
Okay.
On that day. So we invite everyone to watch the space.
Okay.
On Tuesday, 10 o'clock at Accra Central.
Accra Central.
Accra International Conference Center. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be there and curiously analyze.
Okay. What time is it? What time will it be?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock a.m. in the morning?
In the morning.
Okay.
So you stream live.
It'll be streamed live. Okay. We'll go here. We'll go. This one says, so Wanda has suddenly forgotten about Gusitano's breakaway. Over the Samuel Splinter Party, which stemmed out of people's testicles being manhandled at Koforidua. Funka Games, where the founder's wife slugged it out with a sitting president, amongst others, and is now giving the MP political lessons. Amazing convictions. The NDC has been there before. It says, if they survived, we shall surely survive. On January 31, we shall resoundingly unite behind Dr. Mahmoud Baumia to face the NDC in 2028. Mancha Blues II in Takrade brought this one in.
Did you say testicles?
He mentioned testicles.
No, it's not correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you to Wanda Madilo. He is a development consultant and a member of the NDC's communications team. Afel Money is former GJA president. Janet Nabla is founder of People's National Party, and Professor Isaac Bodi is dean of the Accounting and Finance Department, UPSA. Faculty, rather. The AM show is sponsored by Shield Silicon Paint, from Azar Group, Syntex Pipes, and Time Herbal Mixture. This is still the AM show. We'll take a break. We'll be back with exciting things here on the show. To stay.
Thank you for staying. This is the AM show. Now, Ghana's small retail businesses are feeling the squeeze as higher costs to meet shrinking consumer spending from Malata to Nema Junction. Traders say January sales have slowed sharply after Christmas, with many customers buying less, delaying payment, or cutting back altogether. Priscilla Tego has more in this report.
Across several markets in Accra, traders say there's simply no money in the system. Even as prices of goods rise due to transport and utility costs, customer spending has failed to keep pace, forcing businesses to rethink how they price and sell. At Malata, beverage traders Maridi and Al Hassan say demand has dropped significantly despite pricing adjustments aimed at attracting bulk buyers.
For now, it's very slow. It's not like the way we used to know it. Yeah, it's very slow, very, very slow. There is no money in the system. Everybody is complaining. There is no money, even though the price of the product has increased, but there is no money in the system. People want it, but they can't afford. It's the price difference. To our place, it's a price difference because here we are doing, we are mainly on wholesale, only wholesale. We don't do retail. So because of that, people are patronizing because of the price. I think the government should let money flow in the country, as the others are complaining that they don't pay them. Like the workers, some of the workers are complaining they don't pay them.
It's been very, very bad as compared to the previous years. Since it's not been coming. This festive season is so somehow better than the previous, like the normal days. But we think maybe it's the economic, like there's no money. People are complaining that there's no money in the system. It's the same prices we used to sell, but the petrol keep declining. So we just hope that maybe in the future things will maybe change.
The slowdown is also affecting local government revenue collection. According to Amos, a revenue collector at Malata, traders are struggling to meet their daily obligations on time.
The market is slow, so at times I go around for the money. They find it difficult to pay for me, but usually they pay. But they don't pay it on time. Okay. Oh, things will change because some of them have travel, so usually they will come. They can reach the market to rise again.
For Doris, January is a familiar dry season. With many households still using items bought during Christmas, customer visits have reduced, forcing sellers to rely on personal relationships to stay afloat.
As compared to the Christmas, I can see it was better done this time. And because people buy their things already and now they are using it in the house, so maybe they will come after some time. But as at now, it's not all that good. Some of the things have been reduced, others too have been increased, and others too have remained the same. At times, I'll call my customers and ask them, sometimes if they need something, I will just send it to them. Or if I haven't seen you for more than 2-3 days, I'll call you and ask whether things are going on good or So I've been calling my customers and asking them. Some of them, if I call them, they will ask you to bring some. Some of them, if you call them, they will say they have some. So if they need that, they will call you.
Fruit sellers are dealing with a different challenge. Mercy, who sells kelewele, say plantain scarcity caused by galamsey has made pricing difficult even during the planting season.
Nibiana season or your Yamadan season. Shamadan ye ba edaka keshi pon fen fite. She come me bana ba he ni ameka Yamadan ye. E ono ni mo small ni ba ke ba he ni 5 cedi. Biana ni 5 cedi.
Even though we are in the plantain season, plantain is still scarce because farmlands used for cultivation have been destroyed by galamsey. Many customers assume plantain is readily available and come with 5 cedis expecting large portions, which is no longer possible. When I go to buy plantain, I still get the same limited quantity as I would during the off-season. During the Christmas period, sales were better, but business has slowed since then. This situation puts pressure on sellers because customers expect more than we can afford to give. Plantain is expensive and scarce, so we have to sell in a way that allows us to make a small profit. Selling cheaply would mean running at a loss, even though people believe plantain should be available because it is the plantain season.
She called by Jlam no ba oni o na benasa no o hele no ba hon lo fo ye gbe e wono ni minta ma ke man bia ke we mo ka madan season mo yo shamadan e be.
As traders navigate rising costs, weak demand, and post-Christmas fatigue, many say survival now depends on price flexibility, customer loyalty, and hope for an economic rebound. Rosla Calistegos reports for Joy Business. Read to you.
You're watching the AM show. Now, a volatile and closely fought contest is shaping up in the New Patriotic Party's presidential primaries, with fresh polling revealing a race that is far from settled. A nationwide delegate-based opinion poll by the Center for Public Opinion and Awareness, CEMPOA, shows Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia leading the field with 42% of stated voting intentions, but falling short of the numbers needed for a decisive first-round victory. Well, with nearly 1 in 5 delegates still undecided and more than a quarter open to switching sides, the poll points to a fluid race in which loyalty, momentum, and perceived electability could prove decisiveness. Now, the findings suggest that while Dr. Bawumia enters as the fourth runner, his grip on the contest is quite fragile, and that the challenger, Kennedy Ejapon, buoyed by a more loyal base, remains firmly in contention as the party heads towards what could be a runoff. Now, joining me in studio this morning to break down this poll is Michael Donyina Mensah. He is Executive Director, Senpoa. Thank you for joining us. We've seen many polls leading to this particular election. I mean, it's not novel. But first of all, I see what you do, but why did you particularly conduct a poll on this one?
All right, thank you very much. I think I would start from the narrative that the quality of leadership in Ghana has been dwindling over the years. I mean, in fact, if you look at from the days of Nkrumah till now, it is something that we all know that the quality of leadership is dwindling. And with NPP being one of the major political parties, and considering the fact that in Ghana we have what we call the incumbent penalty, which no political party has been able to avoid. I think the NPP tried to avoid it by attempting to break the 8, but that failed. So it is very obvious that at least in the next possibly 8 years, we should be seeing a change in government. And if NPP is the alternative, that means that the quality of leadership that they present is what is going to, it's what Ghana will be going with into the future. So it's very important that we show some interest. So it's from that angle that we decided to do this particular survey. And the intention of the survey was not to, predict exactly who's going to win. That is really not our focus. Of course, that could be one. People can actually preempt that from the report, but the focus was to be able to establish the trends and the dynamics of the whole race, because that would give an idea of how things will pan out at the end. So yes, this is the reason why we actually went into it, to see that we're able to guide some of the narratives around how leadership is panning out in Ghana.
Okay, but if I look at the poll, it seems to pay attention to who is popular, who's more marketable, who gets to maybe, or whether or not this will get it to a runoff. If we're curing what you have just said, why does the poll not then focus on their person, who they are, so that delegates are able to make an informed decision, especially because of what you want to cure?
Yes, so it's a study. We were looking at the dynamics and of the race, considering the previous race. And so if you look at the research questions, the research questions actually guided this whole survey. And it was looking at who did you vote for in 2023? Would you still vote for the same person this year? And would you change your vote at any point in time? So it is just to understand the dynamics of the vote. But of course, we didn't focus on the personalities of the individuals, because that is a very qualitative subject area to delve into. So we just delve more into the quantitative side.
Okay, talking about quantitative, then it introduces me to the sample size. How well is the data represented? What kind of sample size did you use?
Well, so we covered 55 constituencies, and we feel that that is actually very representative enough.
Why?
And 55 of 270, that's almost well about 20%. And usually we've had sample sizes of 3%, which seems to be very representative enough. So it was way above what should be minimum. And of course, it was spread across the 16 regions. So, so it was representative enough. And then we went well above, I think, 1.5% of the delegates. So we had about 2,792 potential delegates responding to the survey, whose, responses were used to do the analysis. And yes, at the end of the day, Dr. Bawumia seemed to be the most popular candidate. He pulled 42% of the responses of those who wanted to vote for him, followed by Honorable Kennedy Ejapon, 34%. So there's actually an 8-point lead on the side of Dr. Bawumia.
Okay.
Yes, and then we have significantly something very important. We didn't focus on much of the other candidates because if they had, some of them had very reasonable, significant numbers, then we can bring them into the analysis. If not, then we would really be making it a bit crowded. So we focused on the leading two. But we had about 1/5 of the delegates saying that they were undecided. And that was really very interesting because going into the last days of this contest, because our last data came in on the 9th of January. So as at 9th of January, if we have these number of delegates saying that they were undecided, it means that...
What number again did you say?
About 17% undecided. So that meant that there's still some virgin field that both of these leading candidates can actually capitalize on. One other factor was attrition.
Before you go to the attrition, these are 17%. The most marketable person, if they get, what margin do they need out of the 17% to make them have a firm grip?
Well, it then spans that Dr. Bawumia needs just about half of.
Just half of that.
That's 17%.
And then the.
So half of the undecided voters. If Dr. Bawumia is able to, sweep half of the undecided voters, it means that yes.
If all the 17% decide to want to go to Ken, would they also?
So that's going to be a problem.
A problem for the front runner.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
So that's basically. So it looks like there's still a number of people who are still sitting on the flanks. So these last days can really make a difference, and that's the reason why we're looking at it from the point that the possibility of a runoff is something that is on the table.
Okay, Dr. Bawumia has 42% so far marketable. You also say that Kennedy seemed to have a firm grip of the base.
Yeah, so that's
I want to get the...
So the dynamics is that about 81% of those who said they voted for Ken in 2023 are saying that they will vote for him again.
And about 21%.
81%.
81.
And then,
that's large.
Yeah, that's large. And for that's about 67%. Though in absolute numbers, when you bring it to absolute numbers, Dr. Bawumia's numbers might be larger than that of Ken because he got more votes in the last. But in terms of loyalty, Ken has a more solid loyalty base than Dr. Bawumia. That sometimes, that can be explained a little bit because, in the last primaries, he had some people with him who are no more with him. Dr. Duchum, Dr. Brian Achampong. So all of them slid away, and of course they will slide away with their numbers. But as to whether these numbers on the election day are going to come back to the Bawumia camp would be a little bit of a problem. One thing we know about some of these elections is that during the campaign period, you get a lot of people following certain candidates. But when it comes to the D-Day for the voting, people want to align with winnable candidates. And that's the reason why sometimes you see someone getting 0, like having a lot of people follow them during their campaign, but they get 0 at certain polling stations, because when it comes to election day, people want to realign and align with winnable candidates. As to those who have left Dr. Bawumia's camp, as to whether they're going to return back to him is another case. If they decide to go towards the direction of Ken, then so this particular election is not like the previous primaries that we've seen before, because if we were going to go by history would have been very fair to Dr. Bawumia, because in the history of the NPP, no first-time presidential candidate has ever polled up to 60%, more than 60% of the vote.
Okay.
But in the last primaries, he had 61. So, and then history also tells us that in every second showing, the presidential candidates actually do better. But is that going to be the case in this particular situation? The dynamics, so history actually is on the side of Dr. Bawumia, but whether that will be in reality, we're yet to see.
In the bigger picture for subsequent elections, which is the most important thing every party should concern themselves with, which one is most needed? A marketable candidate or candidate that members are loyal to?
So if you look at the survey, that question actually popped up, and we have about 34% saying that they are looking for a marketable candidate, someone who can actually let's call it a winnable candidate. So yes, on that front, at the winnable candidate that they are looking at, we are to see who is going to be that winnable candidate. But there's something interesting happening in this particular primaries that I think that it has a very important, it's a reflection of how citizens and leaders, the whole congruence and how they are viewing leadership. We can see there's a very sudden drift to Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. And if you look at if you monitor some of the comments that are coming from people, it is not because they feel he is the most ideal leader that Ghana wants or Ghana needs. Let me say, it is much more in the direction of they want to try something new. It is just to tell us that the citizens are becoming very fed up or tired with the aristocratic leaders. And I've said it somewhere that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the last of a dying breed. And when I say the last of a dying breed, what I mean was that just because of what happened in the last 8 years, people were so disappointed in the political class, such that there was at the point that even the youth were clamoring for military rule. That meant that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is trying to restore some hope back into that political class for us to start believing them that they can do something.
And if he does, from history and research, if he does, will the people who seem to want to have an appetite for a new kind of regime, will they still have that appetite? So
that's the thing. So if His Excellency John Dramani Mahama does excellently well, such that that hope is restored, then that whole experiment of Ken Agyapong is threatened. I'm telling you this, and we can mark it here and probably in the future. If His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in his term of governance, unfortunately, commits some of the errors that were committed in the past, and then citizens begin to lose that hope back again, that puts someone like Kennedy Agyapong in a very good picture, in case he's able to make it past this
but it matters who wins to just January 31, right? Because as of now, how are they able to predict whether or not the current presidents will do well or not? So what kind of a candidate can they have that can best suit when the president doesn't perform well? And what kind of candidates can they have that can best suit when the president as well performs well? If you understand my question.
Interesting question.
Because this is coming before, it's not coming after.
Right.
It's coming before.
I'll give you some clues.
Okay.
You know, first of all, I want to establish that Dr. Bawumia, I think that, you know, for him to be sitting on the flanks, okay, and then all of a sudden he's called straight from where he is to become a vice presidential candidate means that he's an exceptional individual. There's something about him, because if you are not exceptional, you wouldn't be sitting at your corner and they'll come and call you that, oh, come and be and the party leadership will come and invite you to become a vice presidential candidate. As to whether he was given the opportunity during the 8-year tenure to show what he has in him is a question that is subject to debate. But if we look at the recent happenings in the NDC, where Honorable Dr. Atuforsen, just because of his handling of the economy, has all of a sudden overrun all other potential presidential candidate nominees, and is now being, you know, seen as one of the potential frontrunners for the NDC presidential candidates to succeed his John Dramani Mahama, means that the economy is very, very important. So it means that if the NDC is also going into this election, they should be looking at what the options that NPP is having and what they are also bringing. I know that a lot of people are going into the direction of, you know, are clamoring, and especially that's why you see more of the outsiders, those who are not delegates, clamoring for Kennedy Agyapong, just because of the disappointment and the frustration that was meted out to them during...
Is it the party that is having an appetite for a personality like Kennedy Agyapong, or you think that's quite the temperature of the country?
I think that, first of all, as I told you about the fact that the quality of leadership is at one of its lowest level in in Ghana, and as a matter of fact, in Africa. It's because their options are very limited. Because if we want to look at the quality of leadership from, as I told you, from the days of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah till now, we need very bold leaders. But when I say bold, I don't mean people who are loud or people who are uncouth, or no, that's not the type of boldness. We need very bold leaders because looking at the problems that we face in Ghana and in Africa, we need bold leaders who can really, bring in bold solutions to our problems. But unfortunately, if you look at the lineup of political leaders, I am yet to see if there is one that can assume that amount of boldness. But as I said, whatever decision that the NPP makes in this particular primaries will tell on the future of the leadership in Ghana, because in 8 years, NDC might be suffering what we call the incumbent penalty, and that is something that any party is yet to break. So the assumption is that in 8 years, NPP will be coming to power.
It's a different kind of regime after 8 years. It won't be the same president coming in. It will be like a fresh start as well for almost all of the parties.
Oh yes, it is. But let me even state this. Even when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was president for 3 years after the demise of Atta Mills, this NDC still suffered the incumbent penalty after 8 years. So it is something that we are yet to see which party is going to be able to break it. Because, you see, for example, they are having a very beautiful ride this first year. Let's hope that they avoid any scandals this second year. Let's hope that maybe borrowing does not start again because they have to fulfill campaign promises, and things move on very well. Then we might be able to have a situation where that NDC will avoid that incumbent penalty this time around. If not, it is something that is obviously going to come. And when it comes, the option right now is either Dr. Bawumia or Kennedy Ejapon. But I'm saying that whichever way it goes, it's going to be a whole new total type of leadership, especially when it goes in the direction of Honorable Kennedy Ejapon. Bawumia is leading in the polls, but the dynamics does not...
The 17% is a strategic number, and it is needed for both sides, or it's not? It's not significant.
Yes, it's needed for both.
Who are these 17?
So mostly the 17 are also in very critical regions, like Greater Accra, like Volta, where Ken seemed to be doing well, like Western North. So if you look at the 16 regions, about 11 of them, let's say about 8 of them, Bawumia is leading with a very reasonable margin. About 3-4 of them, that is Ashanti, Bono and Ahafo, Ken has been able to level up to Bawumia compared to the previous 2023. That's the Akan regions. And then when you come to Greater Accra, yes, he has been able to level up with Bawumia also in Greater Accra, and even beating Bawumia slightly in Greater Accra.
We'll get to regions that are swing and what they can do to this entire numbers. But this 17 voters, we can do some predictions, right? I ask this because who are they? Are they first-time voters? Are they voters that are sitting on the fence? Are there voters that know what they want, but they're waiting for momentum because they want to be part of the crowd? What does the data say?
So there are voters that are probably, should I say, non-aligned. Obviously, there are voters that voted because about 99% or 90%, let's say, or 95%, I can safely assume, of those who are going to vote in this particular primaries voted in the last primaries. So there are people who actually voted the last time, but this time around, they are being a bit cautious, or maybe they are those that are non-aligned. Bear in mind that the reason why we've been avoiding the issue of prediction is that Ghana's politics is heavily monetized. And on election day, there are people who would vote for the highest bidder. So with
people take a decision on the day.
There are people who take a decision.
And this is this is the behavioral pattern of delegates, right?
Yes, the delegates.
Yeah?
Yes, because delegates, some of them don't get any positions, they don't get any, the only benefit they get for being delegates, for being polling station executives is through some of these elections. So we've seen situations where on the D-Day, the person who's able to, bid more is able to, so if, because money plays a very important role, when you want to go into this with your polling and trying to be very predictive, you might fail because the last minute can determine a lot. Bear in mind, we also have about 28% of the voters who said that they can change their vote at the last minute. It means that about these 28%
originally they didn't show where they belong.
So these 28%, no, they showed where they belong, but they are saying that they can change their vote at the last minute. So it means that there's 28% who might go to the highest bidder.
This 28, who were they choosing really?
No, it cuts across.
They make up for the
yes, it's just that question didn't. Yes, it cuts across. So if I got your question right, whether Ken or Bawumia, whose people were likely to
switch on that day.
You know, there are some of this information that we've decided to deal with some of the parties that reached out to us independently for some of this backdoor information. But yes, that 28% is there. So it means that the highest bidder factor also comes in. So that's why I'm saying that this might be one of the most fluid contest primaries that the NPP has ever had. And though Bawumia is seen as a front runner, it is very possible that Ken can pull in a surprise, though that would be a very difficult one.
So which of the regions are a make or break for Dr. Bawumia to still maintain the momentum?
Oh, you know, a region like Ashanti region has one of the highest delegate populations. So his ability to, you know, keep his lead and give a gap over there, because he's leading Ken in Ashanti region, but the margin is not
healthy.
Too wide. Yeah, it's not healthy. That's a good word. So being able to do a lot of the work in Ashanti region, damage and demolish some of the foundations that Ken has been able to build will be very, very instrumental to, because Ashanti region is really very big. Ken is very solid, leading in Volta and Central, and but the delegate populations there are not really that big. One of the other areas that needs to be looked at is Greater Accra. And I think with Greater Accra, we are observing that because of the presence of, media presence is very high, and much of the work that is being done by Ken and the fact that the general population are clamoring for him, it's leading to some form of, it's yielding some form of result. So he has really climbed up in Greater Accra. So Greater Accra is also one of the areas that needs to be looked at. But obviously, Ashanti is a big spot. If we want to move from Ashanti, we should be looking at Ahafo and Bono, and then we should be looking at Western region also. But of course, Ashanti is the hotbed.
Well, what's the single variable that can change between now and the day of voting?
The single variable that can change now, the two types of people that need to be looked at are the 17% who are saying that they are undecided.
They're undecided. Then the 28 that say they can change their mind.
Yes, and the 28 that says that they can change their vote. And those are the very important key variables that can really determine who is going to come out of this. But as I said, it will be very easier for Dr. Bawumia to be able to win this if out of the 17%, he's able to get even 8% out of that. So with 8%, it means that he's able to just cross the 50 mark. And trust me, whoever is going to win this might not really win by a very, very wide margin. It will not be too wide. So obviously, Dr. Bawumia has a leading edge and advantage, but of course, he needs to consolidate. He needs to expand. Sorry, he needs to expand, and Ken also needs to, Bawumia needs to consolidate what he had, because he had 61, and Ken needs to expand. To be able to, get to the finish line of 50+1.
So, I mean, last two questions if I wrap this conversation up. You say that most of the people that voted in 2024 are quite disappointed in the 8-year regime that we just left from the NPP. They seem to want to have an appetite for a different kind of leader. Do they not have appetite for a different kind of party? Why a leader? And why do they want to shift away from personalities and move towards the Ken kind of personality? What did you consider to arrive at that conclusion?
Yes, so I think that first of all, Bawumia, his association with the previous, like Nana Akufo-Addo, is not to his benefit. It's not healthy, because there are still a lot of people within the party who are, very bitter about happenings in the previous government and how things were handled and things like that. And for me, that is the burden that he has to bear. And if ever he never makes it in this flag bearership race, it wouldn't be because he wasn't a good material, because he wasn't a solid person. It was just because he was a victim of circumstances. I always cite this example. I remember the last days of when he became flag bearer and Nana Akufo-Addo finally sacked, or let's say reassigned Ken Ofori-Atta, and Bawumia came into the scene and, you know, had a fresh finance minister, and, you know, they started, you know, muting all these ideas and gold for oil and things like that. We saw the economy trying to rebound slowly into health. So it tells me that if probably Nana Akufo-Addo had listened to Dr. Bawumia right from day one in terms of the economy and gave him full charge, he probably wouldn't have had a bad showing as a president as he did. So obviously I know there's something in him that he can give to Ghana, but because he has become a victim of circumstances, you know, just being the person to clear up the mess of the NPP, but when it came to decision making, he was shoved on the side. And, you know, he made himself useful by championing a digital transformation agenda just because he didn't have control about or say about what was happening in the economy. So I believe that sometimes people say that Dr. Bawumia says that, you know, he has achieved, chalked a lot of milestones as a vice president. Yes, that can be true, but when it comes to the failures of the government, he wants to also wash his hands away from it or step aside. That can also be true because the economy, he didn't have much control, but he was able to make himself useful by championing a particular agenda. But with Ken, I am also very curious to see what he can bring on board, because we almost gave up on the aristocratic leaders, and we are all clamoring for a new style of leadership. But after taking a look at how Trump is being a bit messy in his leadership, it gives me some form of worry. But he's also an experiment we can try.
Okay. Okay. So your single, maybe your decision, or concluding this, you think that this election can get into a runoff?
Oh, a runoff is something that's definitely on the table.
It's definitely on the table.
Definitely on the table, yes. Okay.
Michael Donyina Mensah is the Executive Director of SEMPA. Thank you so much. Are you releasing another poll before?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Our intention is not to just predict anything. Let's let it flow. Maybe we'll start looking at something with NDC when the time comes.
I look forward to that. Thank you so much. Well, in wrapping the show, I'd like to remind you that First Sky Group invites the public to its 23rd Thanksgiving service, themed proclaiming the mighty deeds of the Lord, Psalm 71:15-16, hosted by founder and executive chairman Mr. Eric Sedi Kutoche. Activities begin with an all-night service tonight, January 23, 2026, at Trinity Temple Assemblies of God, Tema. The main Thanksgiving event takes place on Sunday, January 25, at the Accra International Conference Center, featuring Reverend Dominic Yeo as guest speaker. Apostle General Sam Kranchi is chairman, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as special guest of honor, administration in music by Kofi Owusu Pepra. You do not want to miss that one. Join the First Sky Group in thanking the Lord for 23 years of running business in this country. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. My name is Emefa Akosi Adeti. I definitely did this with the Ahanta Pele. See you next week.